evening. I tried to do it serious, and you guys just started laughing at me.
Well, it was funny.
Well, and you had it right. We were laughing at you.
You were laughing at me. Hey.
What is this, like the overnight show on...
How you doing?
How you doing?
It's Halloween.
Baby.
How you doing? That's scary.
That is... I think we just scared the entire audience.
Good evening, everyone. Seriously, welcome to our 6th annual Halloween Spooktacular. We're going to have 3 hours of fun on the air with you. We'll take your calls, open the phone lines. We've got a ghost hunter that's going to join us in the second hour, but we've got a lot to talk about, and I want to go ahead and introduce everybody that will be joining you via the airwaves tonight until midnight. Well, technically till 11 a.m. if you set your clocks back. So, midnight.
It'll be midnight when we're done, and then
It'll technically be midnight when we're done, because you're not supposed to send them back until 2 a.m.
Right. So by the time we get home...
Just by the time we get home...
1 a.m.
Yeah, we can say, why are you going to bed? It's still early.
Now, some people would think you have extra time to sleep, but not us. It gives an extra hour to watch television. Well, for me, that's what it'll give me.
Exactly. And it is kind of horrifying that we get an extra hour on Halloween night of 2020.
On a blue moon, full moon Halloween night.
It's really scary.
One of us is not going to be alive tomorrow. I'm just letting you know.
So there will be 2 of us on the Halloween special next year.
Well, no, we'll still have 3. We'll just have to figure out who we replace. We have to. We can find somebody.
Call Brian.
That's easy. Replaceable.
There's always someone.
There's somebody. Some sucker.
Folks, if you don't know the names, I'm Alan Sanders, host of the show tonight, and to my left, co-host with me on the Wilder Ride, and he's been with us before and loves to fill in. And great, you and I met thanks to filling in for BK on the air. We got Walt Murray, Walt Into Darkness. Welcome.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here.
And, of course, the voice you know from his own show from 10 to noon Saturdays, BK on the air.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Hello.
According to Alan, it's my fault that we have a Halloween spectacular, so I'm glad to take responsibility.
It's not your fault. It was your idea, and I kind of ran it forward.
It's another way of saying that, yeah.
Well,
right.
No,
true.
No,
well,
see, it wouldn't have been, no. To be clear, you brought it up, but it would have gone nowhere had I not helped it.
Oh, okay.
So it's your idea. I pushed it. So it's not your fault. It's our fault. So we made it happen.
So if it's terrible, it's a mutual disaster.
Have you not listened to the last one?
Accolades flow.
Did you not hear the one last year?
I did. It was suspect.
Weren't you with us?
I was here.
I believe you were.
This is my 2nd annual.
So we got it
6th
done.
annual.
We got it done due to a mind meld? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Kind of a thing? Okay, good.
Well, you were brand new. Right, nobody knew whether or not to trust you. Here's this guy from the competing station that folded, went under. They're like, well, maybe he was the reason it went under. They weren't sure.
Either way, that's fine.
I'm following this reasoning.
Yes. And I think at some point they go, well, you know what? If we just let them do it, it'll get out of their system. They won't have to worry about it again.
They'll quit bothering me.
Year 2, I think, was the most resistance. It was like, you guys really, really want to stay up till midnight? I'm like, yeah? Really? Yeah.
Wait, were you arguing with your mom about this?
No. It depends. Well, let's see. Was there much of a difference?
Well, they were wrong. We didn't get it out of our system.
So, year 3 was like, who said you could put a promo out? I'm like, well, we got the Halloween special coming.
That actually happened.
Who said you could advertise something on our station?
They're like a month away. I figured we should let people know. Well, year 4, they were just like, okay.
Whatever.
Year 5, they were like, oh, you're still doing this. Yeah. Year 6, they were like, hey, pandemic, everything else is going wrong. Why not? Yeah, go for it.
Throw them in the
Full
studio.
Blessing.
Throw them in the studio. Maybe they'll get sick.
Next year, year 7, they're going to be like, we love that show.
They brought the pontiff in. He was throwing holy water on the show. Like, Spiritus Sanctum, rate magnum cum laude, the radio's too loud,
Well, let's just hope that next year they don't say, that Thanksgiving special y'all do? Y'all need to do that again.
The Thanksgiving special.
That 4th of July thing? That's awesome.
You're all fired. Well, there's always a podcast. We always got that to fall back on. So. And by the way, guys, congratulations for making the Hot 50 podcast list again. That was kind of cool with Podcast Magazine.
BK, I was going to tell you, congratulations for making the Hot 50 list.
I'm happy to be on it. I can't believe it. I just think it's great. It just thrills me beyond all Halloween dreams to be on there.
Now, this is your 2nd month in a row?
Yes, it is. Yeah, believe it or not.
That's awesome. It's our second month in a row, and I think our third total.
Third total, yes. We were on, and then we were off.
Yes.
Then we came back, and
Y'all
then we
are
dropped.
not hot. Okay, now you're hot.
I think it's safe to say that all three of us love to flip a switch and talk into a microphone.
Well, wait a minute. We were hot, but by hot, we were at the very bottom, so we were warm.
That's right.
We were warm on the hot list. Then we were like so cold we didn't make the list. Then it was like, whoa, red hot. And then we were like, okay, well, you kind of lost some of your luster.
Yes.
So we'll see. Anyway, Podcast Magazine, folks, if you want to hear us, you've got the BK on the Air Escape Pod podcast that's out there, and you've got the Wilder Ride Season 3. All three of our voices at some point you can hear on either of those podcasts, and so check it out. We are here to have some fun tonight, and let me give you the phone number. It's 770-386-1450 if you'd like to be part of the program tonight. We have got a lot we are going to cover tonight. Just some of the topics. We'll dive into what we think, and each of us has our own lists, the worst candy that ever shows up in your candy bag. We have our tiers of candy, and we'll talk about that in a little bit because I think it's going to all kind of flow together with some of our early Halloween memories, early costumes, the history of costumes, all of the kind of stuff that we're going to be talking about tonight. But there's always the tiers, I think. Like, there's the top shelf. It's like, for those of you who are whiskey drinkers, you realize, oh, okay, you go to liquor stores, like, well, all the good stuff's up here. It's the top shelf. Like, that's the stuff that, it's a little more expensive, but there's a reason. It's better. And then you got kind of mid-shelf. You're like, okay, I can settle for that. Maybe I don't want to break the bank. And then you got bottom shelf. So we want to talk about what's the bottom shelf in your candy
see, when
bag.
you said tiers, I thought you meant you cry when you get
Well,
this.
you know what? The third tier does cause tears because you have to get to yourself at some point saying, is it worth eating? now that everything else is gone, I have scavenged tier 1 and tier 2. I've got the dregs. Now, what's the best of the left of the dregs?
I just knew he was going to work alcohol into it somehow.
Yes.
Into
Why
the
not?
Conversation. That's what I'm saying.
The fact that you are ill-informed on the ways of alcohol and alcoholism, I'm sorry.
I'm glad to be ill-informed on alcoholism.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of the Homerism, alcohol, the solution to and cause of all of man's problems.
Yes, absolutely.
But we're going to go into that. We're going to talk about some of our costumes that we've worn, maybe the most scared you've ever been as far as growing up. I mixed two things up. The most scared you've been at a scene in a movie, and maybe it still scares you to this day. Your top 5 maybe best costumes you've ever worn or costumes you've put on. You came up, BK, with some favorite vacation destinations if money were no object.
The most scared you've made someone taking a costume off. We could throw that in.
Nightly. It wasn't even a costume.
That's right.
It was more of a suit, kind of a birthday suit.
That's right.
Hello.
That is scary.
I do the Bozo the Clown thing, like, want to play with Willie? No, I don't. And then that's it. The evening's over. So
went to Halloween.
And so let's go ahead. I want to start off with something light because I do want to start off with our Halloween memories. I talked a little bit about it on the air in a couple of different formats, but tonight's the night perfect to talk about it because Halloween has evolved for each of us. We all have fond memories of what it's like to have been a kid and then growing up and then being sort of independent and then having kids, at least Walt, you and I, as far as being able to be the father that's now on the flip side, taking the kid. But at some point, those kids then grow up. So I'll start it off because for me, I always loved Halloween. First and foremost, as a kid, who doesn't like the idea of getting free candy, right?
Absolutely.
When I caught the concept of going door to door and people were going to put candy in my bag just by yelling trick or treat, like, I'm all in. I didn't even care what I wore. My first Halloween, I have no idea what I wore. I don't even know if I cared what I wore. It was like, we're going to go get candy. We're going to get candy and Daddy's going to take me. And I thought it was so cool. It was with my dad. That lasted about 3 Halloweens. And I was like, Dad's gonna take me. Ugh.
Right.
But I still was too young to be able to go by myself. Then a few more years later, finally you get the independence. You get to go trick-or-treating with your friends. And then you realize, okay, if we make it like really smart, like you got like your battle plans, you start coming up with this tactical plan of, okay, where's the group of the houses with the most people? You start getting your reconnaissance. That house over there is giving away full candy bars. Well, that house over there is giving like the wax gum. Okay, avoid that house, go to this house. And if you ran, you could like maximize your candy. And then all of a sudden you got too big to go trick-or-treating, And then I was like, oh. But then like 10 years later, like you start going to Halloween parties and like, oh, okay, so now I'm discovering a different way of celebrating. Then you have kids and you're like, now I'm on the reverse side. Now I'm the one taking the kids trick-or-treating, right?
I was going to say, you really missed out here because when I was too big to trick-or-treat, That's when we volunteered to take the younger kids in the neighborhood around trick-or-treating with us.
Oh, you did that?
Oh, and the parents thought we were heroes. They were like, oh, that's great. Well, it's just because we had a bag, too.
I don't get it. When were you too old to go?
There was this weird concept that...
Okay.
See, that's why you have those restraining orders.
That's why those houses are blocked with the sign on the door.
Martha, come here. This is a great costume. He looks like a 50-year-old man.
Well, close the door and lock it.
Hello, my name's Barry, and I'm 50, and I trick-or-treat.
Trick-or-treat. I love Butterfingers.
I love Butterfingers. Yeah, well, we had that house, that was the Snickers house. It was the judge down the street, and it was, we got Snickers, and so everybody.
Okay, growing up, didn't you know who gave out the good candy, and the word went out on the street, and there was no walkie-talkies, there was no texting. It was just the word on the street as you're trick-or-treating, you got to get that end of the neighborhood,
right.
That whole cul-de-sac, they're all giving away full-size candy bars, and you start booking,
and it was. I got more exercise sprinting to those houses than I would the whole rest of the year.
Yep.
Because it was you know exactly. You hit the judge's house a couple times, and then you go hit these other houses. And, those were the best.
Well, that dovetails with the other question I put out. What was the procedure for trick-or-treating? How did you go when you were a kid? And the way we usually did it was Mom would put us in the car, and we would go. And sometimes it would include cousins, not just my sister. It depended on who she had that time at the time of year. And she'd go, well, come on, we'll bring the cousins with us this time. Find the neighborhoods, usually park at the end of the road. We got out of the car and walked. Mostly, I was the one that was old enough to walk with the other kids. Mom just sat in the car, depending on what the weather was like. Either the heater was on or the air conditioner's on. Being in Alabama, it was usually the air conditioner in October. So we would walk to each house, and I would be with them. And you did know where to go. There's this one older lady in our neighborhood that we hit every time we'd go, and she would give us standard fare of candy, the small bite, and they call them fun size, and they're not fun at all. That tiny bit of candy is not a fun size. The fun size is the bigger one. But we'll
they've even gotten smaller, and we can rail about that later.
Fun.
Now it's down to bite size. It's not even fun size. It's it's a bite.
But we'd get a bunch of the tiny fun size candies or whatever. But she would also put in a paper bag and staple it shut of a fresh bag of popcorn that she made herself, and there was also a thing of tea cakes that she would make, tea cake cookies. So we knew we got freshly baked goods from her along with candy. So not only did we hit her once, we hit her 2 or 3 times in the night, and she was an older lady. She didn't remember us coming by the first time anyway. So didn't I see Casper the Ghost before?
Right.
So she wouldn't remember us. So that was a great house to go to, was that old lady's house.
Perfect segue. Did you ever loop the neighborhood twice, try to get it before everybody started closing up for the night?
No doubt.
Because you couldn't do it too soon because they would recognize you.
Or that you change your costume up.
I've never changed.
Masks.
I've always come back around and they're like, didn't you? I don't know. I saw somebody look like me later.
Yeah, my buddy Tom and I used to switch masks.
Did you?
Just to hit the good houses again.
At some point, they're ready to just get rid of the candy that's left. They don't want to keep it. Right. So they're
some places,
you'd have that one family that would go ahead and just leave the bowl on the porch and say,
that
was only for the next kid, because let's face it, there was nothing after. When you decide, you put the little sign like you think kids are altruistic.
Right.
Please only take one.
They had
one bowl? Sure. No problem.
It's exactly why that human nature is not good.
No, when left completely to its own devices with no watchful eye of authority, you are going to get away with as much as you can.
Right.
I would get so mad. I'd walk up to the house and oh, the bowl's out front. The empty one? I'm like, oh my God, it was just full. Well, and then you see the kid leaving the yard.
Right.
Looks like he's got a sack of
gold.
gold.
Like Santa.
And some of them have the bowl. They took the bowl too. They took the whole thing.
Got the bowl on his head. I got a new costume.
What was the worst
Go to the next house. Do what?
What was the worst thing you ever got trick-or-treating?
Oh, we're going to talk about some of the candy, but for me, the worst, and it's still, I don't even know why they ever sold it, but the wax-filled, the Coke bottles with the liquid goo.
Well, did you ever get stuff that wasn't candy?
Oh, we got pennies before. We had people that would give pennies.
At least you can trade that for goods and services.
Yeah.
Maybe. But when you're going through your candy and you see a bunch of coins at the bottom, you're like, the heck?
I know, that is a big
what are you doing, coins?
You know what I got one time? Religious comic books.
Really?
A neighbor in our neighborhood was giving out religious comic books.
Wow.
Everybody's like, don't go to that house. They put a big X on their driveway.
But they were participating in Halloween by giving something out, though, weren't they?
Well, they were. Not exactly what we wanted.
Let me explain to you why this is the devil's night.
And that's exactly what it was. It was comic books
We're here to
about
see-
how evil Halloween was.
What did you give out for Halloween this year? We saved children's souls.
Yeah.
From what?
And my dad was like, I'm an elder in the church. I should be happy about this, but I'm not really happy about this. We're not going back to that one.
Feel bad now. The worst thing I ever got was it's not candy that I didn't like, but it was old, out of date candy. It was just stale, and I'm like,
that's the worst.
Did you hold it over from last year, giving it away? I guess.
See, I don't want to go into my 5 worst candies, but there is a category that I have there for that.
Yes,
but I did just get bad
and I'm looking
old
forward
candy
to
that was
that
just out of date.
because
That's the
there
worst
are
thing I
some
ever
crappy
got.
candies out there. But
Hey, we've got leftovers from last year. Oh, that's probably good.
leftover religious candy or comic
Wait a
books,
minute.
awesome.
I'm trying to give you one, but they're all stuck together. Let's go to the phones.
in my shoe.
We got someone who's checking in with us. Good evening. Welcome to our 6th annual Halloween Spooktacular. Who's this?
Good evening.
Oh, hello.
You know you've got to have an annoyance on Halloween, so I'm going to be there.
Well, you know, we are in a vintage mode. So, Vintage Brian, thanks for checking in, buddy. What's up?
I'm just sitting here passing the night waiting for anybody else to come get a slice of this candy.
Well, you could drop it off here at 7 North Wall Street. There's a couple of nuts here that could probably put some of it away for
There are
you.
3,
Wait.
not just a couple.
What kind is it though?
Well, yeah,
It's
we
not stale.
We're already suspicious.
we're at an age where we can be a little more discriminating.
Well, what we have is black licorice and Zagnut. You know,
Okay, well, the black licorice causes people to die. We already knew that from the news about a month and a half ago.
I don't have any electricity at my house. I'll take the black licorice. Just bring it all here. I'll eat every bit of it.
It's just the death.
Forget it.
Barry was
I don't
actually
care.
hoping for key lime pie.
Or some religious paraphernalia if you have any.
Do you have any Jesus books for me?
Oh my goodness. Brian,
you're
no
talking
way.
about the worst thing non-candy that you got was when we all decided that the house not to go through after about 4 or 5 kids was the dentist's house that gave us toothbrush and dental floss.
Oh my God, you're right. You're right. There was a dentist in our subdivision,
Yeah.
and I swear to God, we got the little mini, like it was like the size of about a quarter. It was a tiny micro size of
I
dental
remember
floss
those, yeah.
and like a travel toothbrush. I was like, what did you raid the little treasure chest in your office
Right.
for this?
When the rep came by his office, he,
Hey, Brian. Hey, Brian.
Johnson & Johnson.
Hey,
Brian.
Brian.
One lady that handed us out a colored book crayon.
Crayons? Oh, I've gotten
Wow.
crayons before.
Yeah,
That's better than
I
dental
forgot
floss.
about that.
It's better than dental floss, but still, yeah, you can't eat them.
Hey, Brian, as a kid, when I get that dental floss or anything like that from somebody at a house, that was the first time as a child that I learned how to litter. I never had done it
What
before.
we would do is we would stretch the dental floss out and hold it by the loose end and swing the part that it still held it in, so it was like a helicopter till it all ran out.
Oh, that would have been
Oh,
even
that's
more
pretty
fun.
good.
That's great. That would have been great.
Yeah.
Oh, where'd it go?
I'm hoping the statute of limitations is run, but what we did is tied it between 2 mailboxes across the street.
Oh, no.
And yeah.
Wouldn't bother a car, but it would play heck on a
So,
bicycle.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I can see
So,
it now, a poor kid on a bicycle with a decapitation for Halloween.
hey guys, I'm in front.
Wow. Oh,
Hey.
hey, that reminds me.
maybe I
though,
should have read those religious comic books.
Maybe there's a reason they came in your bag.
Nobody else got them, just me.
Exactly.
Oh, here comes the Murray kid.
Charlie Brown's getting rocks, and you're getting religious comic books.
Brian's a
Well, now,
comic.
what else was really cool is we had the ladies and guys that put down through McDonald's come out, or Wendy's come out with their Frosty, McDonald's little trick-or-treat things. It's like 50 cents. So you go in and get your McDonald's hamburger with if you had 9 more cent we eat.
You know, you brought that up.
Wow.
I just remembered. I used to get the coupons for a free little either mini
McDonald's.
cone
Yeah, I
or a
remember
Frosty.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vintage Brian, you are just adding so much to this. Let me ask you this before we have to let you go. We're going to come up in a little bit, and we'll just throw it in the list. But we're going to come up with our top 5, like the worst candy. Like when you got done with eating all the top tier candy and then the middle tier candy, what was some of the worst? Like what did you save for the absolute where you just had one of those bad days at school? You look and go, well, might as well eat it. What was the worst candy you used to get?
Well, we had, like I said, we had the licorice. Nobody wanted that. We had these, I couldn't stand it because I don't like it, but the root beer barrels.
Yes, I remember
Oh,
those.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They were terrible.
And the little cinnamon red hots. We didn't like hot candy. That just wasn't our thing.
Now, I did like the Fireballs. They were.
So you didn't like the Red Hots or like the hot tamales or something?
I like those.
Yeah, the Mike and Ike's and all that.
Oh, see, I like that, but I get it if you don't like the chewy, squishy, cinnamony stuff,
Yeah.
but I like that kind of stuff. All right, cool. Well, Brian, keep listening. Who knows? You might want to feel, we may not take your call, but you may feel compelled to call back because we're going to be on until midnight.
Well, you know how I am. I'm liable to hit you 3 or 4 times just to see if I can get on your fire.
All right, well, not if we can help it. But anyways, thanks, Brian. Talk to you, buddy.
Thanks, Brian.
Happy Halloween. Bye-bye.
Happy Halloween.
Know what I'm doing that dental floss when I get home tonight.
We're getting close to the bottom of the hour. We got a couple minutes left. We're talking about our early Halloween memories and how it changed. And I think what we're experiencing, I wanted to kind of get to, and I like this because all of these topics kind of circle around, and I don't have a problem. We're going to be a little all over the place, and I'm fine with that. I think there was a period of time when my kids got to that point where I didn't want my dad going with me. And I know you got your youngest. She does her own thing now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dresses like him now.
I am forbidden. Yes. I told you about her costume.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you told not on air.
Oh,
so,
that's
yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yes, you did, Walt. You
So for our listening audience, my 14-year-old left tonight to go trick or treating, and I said, "Well, what's your costume?" She said, "Well, don't worry about it. I'll send you a picture." And I was like, "No, what's your costume?"
Then you started worrying.
And she said, "Cargo shorts, a Grateful Dead T-shirt, a baseball hat, and a pair of Vans that I got out of your room." I was like, "Are you kidding?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm going as you."
Going as dad. Did she put the beard on?
That's a good question. I bet
that would be
did.
hysterical.
I
You need to get a picture. If she did a fake beard and tried to go a mini you,
text me what
you got to get that picture.
Her costume.
Well, I got that point where my kids decided, okay, we're old enough, and they were old enough to do their own thing, and we were like, that's fine. And I actually had a period of time where we didn't really do anything. We didn't really decorate anymore. The subdivision was growing up. We didn't really give out as much candy. We always had candy, but it was like, 10 kids come by the end of the night. Then the next year was maybe 8 kids. And then like a couple years ago it was 4 kids. Last year, no one came. We had a bag of candy. But I realized 6 years ago, my Halloween got reinvigorated. It changed. It turned into what we're doing here tonight. And I do have to thank BK for that. I said that sort of jokingly, but he came to the station with this idea. We were kind of chatting, and he's like, we used to do this thing at this other station. You think we might be able to do it here? Can we do something for Halloween? And I was like, that's kind of a cool idea. Take the show that you do on Saturdays. Maybe we could do like 9 to midnight. And you're like, yeah, we could do. Well, and seriously, it was not the most like warmly receptive idea, but we got away with it. We asked and we did it. And I started realizing every year I look forward to doing this. Like, this is my new trick or treat. This is my new Halloween.
Well, and we posted this on both of our feeds, on the Wilder Ride feed, and I think you have it on your feed as well. BK. And I listened to it like in July or June or July. I just
last year's show?
Yeah, just happened to be driving somewhere and was going to be in the car for a couple hours, and I was like, hey, I haven't listened to this in a while. And it was really funny.
But let's say this, it was warmly received by listeners and other people.
It was.
That's the point.
And people were asking, are we doing another one? Are we doing another one? And absolutely we're doing one. And that's where we are right now, our 6th annual Halloween Spooktacular. We'll continue the conversation about some of our traditions, what we did. We'll evolve it into some other topics. We're at the bottom of the hour. Let's get you caught up on some statewide headlines and then back with more of our 6th annual Halloween Spooktacular. Welcome back to WBHF, our 6th annual Halloween Spooktacular. We bought an old house. My wife and I. Now, she's in charge of the new construction, whereas, converting the kitchen to the master bedroom, for instance, whatever we want to do. And we realized the previous owner had papered over everything, including the ceiling. So removing all of that was brutal, but somehow oddly satisfying. The best feeling is getting that long peel, when you're pulling the paper off the wall and it just kind of comes off and you feel like it's almost like you're peeling off the flaking skin of a sunburn. Now, I don't know about you, but I kind of like making a game out of the peeling of the paper on the hunt for the longest piece before it rips. Now, under a corner section of paper in every room is a person's name and a date. as we're going through the kitchen area. Now, curiosity got the best of me one night when I was Googling one of the names and discovered the person was actually a missing person. And the date was the missing date that they went missing, and it's written on the wall underneath the wallpaper. Well, the next day I made a list of all the names and dates, and sure enough, each name was for a missing person with dates to match. So we notified the police, who naturally sent out the crime scene team. We're sitting there hearing them kind of doing their police work, and all of a sudden I overheard one of the police techs say, "Yup, it's human." Human, I thought. Human? What are you talking about? I said, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, that material that you're removing from the walls, it's not wallpaper. That's it. That's the story.
Okay.
I didn't write it. I'm just reading it.
Can I go to the bathroom? Oh, hold it. Okay, thanks.
Might I go to the bathroom? Sure.
Thank you.
Thank
Done
you.
and done.
So welcome back, everybody. Alan Sanders along with Walt Murray, BK from BK on the Air. We're having a good time with our 6th annual Halloween Spooktacular. Our opening subject is basically how Halloween has changed and what were some of our earliest memories. BK, I'll go to you. We were talking about, some of the things we did, and I kind of took us through where we are for me today anyway, but how has it changed for you?
Almost in the same way it has for you. I mean, we started out trick-or-treating as kids, buying and we'll talk about it later on, the old Ben Cooper magazines.
Magazines? Wow, I didn't wear a magazine.
Ben Cooper.
Wear this! We were really
magazine.
cheap. We
The
were
Ben
poor.
Ben Cooper costume.
You can't wear a
out of
costume, but you can
box.
wear a picture of a costume from a catalog.
Hey, my parents were creative, buddy.
There you go.
With the money
It's
we
called
had.
papier-mâché.
That's right. The Ben Cooper magazines. I said it again. The costumes that would come in the cardboard boxes of the costumes and stuff from Ben Cooper. Why do I have magazines on?
Because you were
brain?
from
I don't know
Alabama,
why.
y'all
Yeah,
wore
there
your
you go.
magazines.
That's scary for Halloween. Thank you. But
There was
yeah,
that one year I got the Fredericks of Hollywood. My dad said I couldn't dress at that magazine.
my sister did though. No, sorry.
Thank God I
She's
didn't
not
have a
listening.
sister.
She's not listening. Who cares? My family never listens to any of my shows.
As
They
long as
really
they're not
don't.
listening, they're fair game.
They did, yeah.
Thankfully, but my mom might be.
Your mom listens though. Yeah, your mom.
My
does.
mom listens to you, so it's great.
And my mom may listen to him and don't tell me. I don't know.
She hadn't told
Good
me.
chance.
Halloween's evolved quite a bit. We all started out trick-or-treating, had the costumes from Ben Cooper. Then later on, we got a little older and we got into teenagers and maybe in our 20s, we started going to parties and things like that. I know you guys did do that too.
Oh, yeah.
And then later on, I would find any reason through the 90s. I had a long stretch of time where I'd find any reason to dress up in a costume, go into a convention or something like that. Got into costuming stuff and it was fun. And
First
Bank
date,
robbery.
maybe even Halloween
bank
too.
robbery, first date.
Never can tell.
First date. Yes, what did you dress up like on your first date?
Well,
I'm dressing like a respectable individual in the
Long as
business
she-
community.
long as she's wearing-
Magnum PI.
Magnum.
Hey.
Short shorts and a Hawaiian shirt.
Who cares as long as she's wearing one too?
Right.
Both go out. But
Yeah.
and then eventually it morphed into having parties, hosting parties where friends would come over.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure you guys can all you're falling into lockstep with that. And now again, mine has evolved along with you guys to talking about it on WBHF for every Halloween night, and I'm fine with that because if this is my Halloween now, I'm having a ball. I think it's great. I have great fun when we do this every year. It's great. It's replaced everything, but it is the evolution now of what it is, and I love it.
Now, Walt, you still have a kind of a early teen at home. You said 14,
Right,
so
yes.
only. Boy, you have so much fun still coming your way.
Yes, I know. That's why I drink.
Well, and you've got me to observe. You're like, God, geez.
Yeah. No, she's a good kid though. So
Well, they're all good kids.
she tells
okay,
me.
okay, just in case they're listening, they're all good kids. They just cause us to go frickin' crazy.
right.
Okay, I mean, let's be clear. That's why we go bald. That's why we have gray hair. It's why we can't read anymore without glasses. I mean, everything just starts to age thanks to them. Like, I think
That's right.
it's not because of what we're doing. It's because of them.
Yes, it's like living in a paint shaker all the time
Then why am I losing my hair and got glasses?
because you have us as friends.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
You're the kids. Okay, well, that's
Guilt
fine.
by association.
Right.
Just so we're clear. Okay.
You know that whole term radioactive?
Right.
Guilt by association. Yes. Okay.
You know, like when you text me and I'm like, I'm going to murder someone.
And I go, you want me to help you?
You know that stress? You suddenly feel like I got to stop my friend from like committing a homicide, and now you feel like personally responsible. Yeah, that's
what makes my hair turn gray. Okay, well,
some like transitive property of math.
Exactly.
Like it carries to the next.
Getting married.
Well, for you, you're the It's always looking for the next Mrs. BK.
That's not true anymore. Now, you know what? She wasn't listening till just then when you said that.
She just turned it on.
Radio on.
What were they talking about off the air?
Great.
I'll kill him tonight.
Okay, now we're gonna feel that guilt. We're like, we gotta stop her. Mrs. BK, don't kill BK.
Not
I do
tonight.
have to come in next Saturday.
Technically, aren't they all Mrs. BK?
Yes.
Sorry.
Hey, how about we change the subject? Go back to Walt. What we were talking about.
No, this is more fun. I've always wanted to see somebody squirm.
Yes.
This chair squeaking. I hate this chair. The squeaking when I move around. Where's the WD-40?
Oh, by the way, 770-386-1450. If you'd like to,
Don't give up.
if you would like to be the next future Mrs. BK,
Or if you'd like to ask Barry uncomfortable questions, feel free to
next
call
future
in.
ex Mrs. BK. All right.
But yes, you were asking me about my younger.
You still got it. You still have technically younger still living at home because my youngest, even though she's a freshman in college, has moved out. She was supposed to be in a dorm. Everything thanks to COVID. She decided to move in with her two older sisters who have a house together. So we technically are empty nesters. So for us, we don't even have kids at home worrying about what they're like. I am worrying, but there's nothing I can do about it. They're not at home. So how does it feel for you right now with your Halloween, and how has it evolved?
Well, even 5 years ago, I was still taking kids out. Still taking kids out trick-or-treating. So it has changed a lot. I mean, now I'm kind of like, nobody's going to be here. My oldest has moved out. My middle child's going to be with her. My youngest is going to be off with her friends. We very rarely get trick-or-treaters in our neighborhood anyway. And so it's like, if I wasn't coming here, I would probably be sitting at home listening. So, I don't know what I would be doing right now.
And are you sad too? Because I'm sad. I miss the trick-or-treaters. I wish they hadn't gone away because I like them coming by.
Well, and I find myself being a little bit envious of some of my friends who have grandkids. And the grandkids are coming over now and going trick-or-treating. So, like, some of those things that I really loved as a parent, I'm really looking forward to as a grandparent, too. And the good thing is...
Except for that whole term, grandparent. See, I'm not into that, right? Not yet.
I'm fine.
Yeah, you are, but I'm not. That's fine. I'm glad you've accepted
closer to it than me.
Stop it. You're right. That actually is the scary part.
Yeah.
Do you realize my two oldest daughters have had friends they graduated high school with are already married? Like they've already found somebody in college, waited until they graduated, and got married within like the first 6 months of graduation.
That's crazy.
Like they are married. I'm looking at my kids. I'm like, you're not even close. And how could your friend be ready if you're the same age?
Right.
And I forget. Remind me, how many years from 50 are you now? You're close to 50, right?
I'm close to 50, but I am not. I am still in my 40s.
But where? I forget. Remind me of where you
Where?
Because I'm old. I forgot.
I am 11/12ths of the way there.
11/12.
11/12.
Okay. I don't know how to
Well,
do
there's 11. There's 12 months.
I don't know how to do algebra.
Carry the 2.
If Tim has 7
Round up.
apples, I don't know.
Did you see that? Did you see that meme? Sorry, I just got to shift. It's like a grade school class, and like they put Wilford Brimley's head on like a 5-year-old.
Yes.
And it says, if Robert sees 32 candy bars and eats 29 of them, what does he have? And it looks like Wilford Brimley's raising his hand. What does he have?
Diabetes.
It's diabetes.
You know what's funny is the one I saw didn't even have the word. It just showed
Right.
raised his hand and you knew what he was going to say. So,
Yes, that's the one I saw too.
Sorry, segue.
Diabetes.
So anyway, so for what about now? As far as like, because you got the phone call. Like, what are you wearing? You wanted to make sure because you're still responsible for this one.
I wanted to check in, just make sure we weren't doing anything, that was inappropriate or, anything like that. I still try to be a responsible parent in that way, and I try to. I pray every day I don't have to be the parent who goes, nope, you're not wearing that.
So you're checking to make sure there's nothing
just
inappropriate
making
done.
sure
So what
that
did you
we're
find
good.
out?
I found out she's dressing up like me. That I am the character she's
There we
going
go.
as.
Challenge accepted.
I was
She's done
like,
it. So,
Well, with the beard the way it is right now, you could either do Santa Claus or Jerry Garcia, and you already have the Grateful Dead shirt going. So yeah.
And she kind of looks like you anyway.
Now, does she like gummy bears too?
Not the same kind.
Because he's like, hey, can I bring Dad's candy stash?
No.
I'm going to a party. He always seems to enjoy these when he's watching TV.
Honey, that's for pain.
It's for pain. It's for my glaucoma.
Honey,
Right.
honey, you don't actually have to act.
I do have glaucoma.
You do
Maybe
have
I can get a
glaucoma.
prescription.
That's what you need to say.
You don't have to actually act like you're a member of the Grateful Dead, the band. You really don't. Don't do that.
He's still in his encore. Like we're waiting for him to get off stage.
Well, I figure now that I'm an important, celebrity in the podcasting community, I'm in the Hot 50.
Of course.
I've got to have some kind of disastrous habit.
See, there we go. We just figured out the Hot 50. It had nothing to do about the podcast. It's our age. It's our age.
Right, exactly.
Nothing about being hot.
Right.
Nothing about being hot and sexy. No, that's for sure.
I'm Hot 50, baby.
Hey, baby, come check out this.
I don't think it's that either.
You like things thick and meaty?
And welcome to our last Spooktacular.
Aw. Nobody's listening.
According to management, no.
Except the FCC.
By the way,
other authorities.
I want to remind you guys, I have something for every one of us deep inside of my jean pocket tonight that I'm going to pull out and give to all of us.
Where is this show going?
Okay,
I'm
because
just telling you,
I
it's a
got a
surprise.
shot in the Navy, but it's been a while. I might need a booster.
It's a surprise. That's
Well,
all I'm
okay.
saying. So remind me, I'll give it to you later.
It's like that end scene when Principal Rooney's on the bus and she's like, "Would you like some of my gummy worms? They've been in my pocket all day. They're warm and squishy here."
Oh, that is great.
All right, let's go. I want to go to our next topic because it kind of ties into this. Do you even remember at all your first costume? Or if you do, what? Maybe not your first. Do you remember what was the first costume that does come to recollection where you were like, "Ooh, I knew I wanted to dress as whatever"? Do you remember your first quote Halloween costume? Well, I'll go to you.
I believe so. I believe it was a Batman. And it was the one with the plastic mask with the elastic band
It was
around
a
the back.
Batman. So which of the Batmans was it? If it was not the Batman,
it was a Ben Cooper one probably that you got. Yeah,
It probably was, because it would have probably been about 71, 72, somewhere right in there. So it would have been, and I remember it being exactly, it was designed off of the Batman 66 costume.
Right.
So
now was it the Batman head, but then a picture of Batman swinging on the front? Or did it look like your Batman
No, it looked
outfit?
like the Batman outfit.
See, that was
You
the
had the better
cool.
one.
That was the better one.
Right.
They sprung the extra $5 for
A
that
friend
one.
of mine had the other. Well, no,
The
okay,
other one
so
advertised about
I
it.
always got the one that said, "This is Batman." It looked like the cover of a magazine, and I'm wearing it on my front. I'm like, whoa.
That was wearing the Batman ad.
Right.
So I remember we also bought it at the last minute. So I don't think it was necessary that my mom or dad was like, "Oh, we'll throw an extra $5 towards this costume." I think it was like, "Well, this is all that's left." So that's what we got.
Okay, so Batman for you. BK, do you remember what your first costume was?
I don't know if it was the first one, but the first one I can remember, I went as a dead boy. It was Casper.
Oh, okay. Because wow, I was like, you
Casper.
took us to a
It was
completely
Casper
dark
the
direction.
Wow.
It was
We're
Casper.
only
the
in
friendly
hour
dead boy
one. You
ghost.
can save the darkness for later.
Yeah. So
But you were Casper?
Casper, it was a Ben Cooper costume. It came in the box with the clear front where you could see the mask inside the box. Take it off and you put the mask on and the poncho with the mine had the picture of Casper on the front. And I remember loving that costume and remembering it because while I had it on, I was Casper the Ghost. You were that character.
Right.
You thought you knew that. And how much, and I've spoken to Alan about this, how much heartbreak did you suffer as a kid with a costume in that way when the rubber band broke on your mask?
It was
That was the end of the world because you had to either hold it with your hand, which looks stupid,
Right.
or whatever. And Alan told me once, he goes, we didn't have the mindset to think of just staple another rubber, just staple it back on there with a
Right.
staple, or like my dad wanted to staple it to my head, so the
Right.
mask would hold onto my head one way or the
Ka-thunk.
other. Or the way Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
there's a shot of him, of Harrison Ford stapling his hat together. It looks like he's stapling it to his head. But yeah, it was Casper. It was Casper the Ghost, and I remember that well. I don't know
Very
if it was
cool.
the first one, but it's the most earliest one I can remember.
Now, and we'll talk about the construction, and we can actually use this as a tease into the next hour because I know that's a subject you want to talk about. That whole line of costuming that all came, but mine was C-3PO that I remember. I'm sure I did something sooner than that, but when I was young enough to remember trick-or-treating was right after Star Wars came out, and my mom bought me and my brother matching C-3PO. Now, the head looked like C-3PO. It was the plastic mold, gold kind of with the gray rubber band that, cut in the back of your head and broke after like an hour of wearing it. Right. But the front was a picture of R2-D2 next to C-3PO. And I never understood that. I'm like, why doesn't it look like the circle with the little wires showing? And I had the cheap version. I had the one where it's like, come see Star Wars. It said Star Wars. And then it had a picture of C-3PO and R2-D2, but I was wearing the C-3PO mask.
But it could have been C-3PO wearing a Star Wars t-shirt. Which would have been kind of cool.
I guess I never thought of it that way.
That's what he wears when he works out.
Actually, I need to what's the word I'm looking for? Reassess, thank you. My entire childhood and my anger at my mom for that now. Thank you. You could have saved me a lot of grief and counseling.
My problem is, why did Miss Irene Sanders, your wonderful mom who listens to my show and not yours, why would she buy two C-3PO costumes? Why didn't she buy him a different one?
Was it a bow?
I don't know. I think
was it buy one get one free or something? Or
no, I have a feeling my mom when I was younger did a lot of the just buy them the same so they don't fight.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we had a lot of that.
As parents,
too.
You know how that feels now, so maybe she did do it that way.
See, because if I were to buy something different for the other one, then it wouldn't have mattered. The other one would have gone like, why does he get C-3PO? Right? You would have yelled, well, why is he Luke Skywalker? I don't want to be, it doesn't matter. But
well, let me ask you this: while you were wearing the C-3PO outfit, could you speak Bocce?
I could. I had over 6 million forms of communication.
Well, that's what I was wondering about. So good.
I was a protocol droid.
And all that knowledge wasted.
And you think he's only a sports fan. You think with a sports fan he would have all the geek stuff in him, but he's got both. He's a hybrid. He's a hybrid Toyota.
There is actually really something wrong with me. I can't really do anything.
That's really why we're here.
That's good. You can
this is actually, we've disguised this as group therapy.
These mics aren't even live.
This is the intervention. It's not even alive. We're just in a room.
Is there a psychiatrist somewhere listening to
Dr.
this?
Phil's about to walk in.
Dr. Blair, Dr. J. Hamilton.
You're both way gone at this point. You should just pack it up and move on.
Welcome to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
So you're saying the problems with everything in your life is because you had a picture of R2-D2 and C-3PO on the front of your first costume.
You had double the droids, and you've been bitter ever since.
I'm trying to find out why you even complain about this. You actually got to go trick-or-treating. I did. Now, I will tell you, I loved going trick-or-treating with my dad early on when I was a kid because he had an army flashlight. I don't know if you remember the kind like that with the 90-degree bent flashlight.
And you could change it from yellow to red to whatever.
Had the little filters you could put on. Yep. And my dad, I was like, oh, that's the coolest flashlight in the world. He's got this cool army flashlight. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world going with my dad. And he would always tell me, he goes, you walk on the driveway, you ring the doorbell or knock on the door, and you better say trick or treat because we're not here we're doing this right. And he was very specific about it. And I got it so ingrained in me that when I used to give candy out as a dad, I'd be at the door and I'd be like, people open the door, I'm like, what do you say? I would actually make the kids say trick or treat because, I mean, that's part of it, isn't it?
Right. I mean, isn't that what you're supposed to do in the manual?
Yes. Otherwise, just go up to anybody's house and just stand there and say, give me something.
And did your dad, on the way back to the car or whatever, when you were walking, and your dad being ex?
Oh, no, we didn't use a car.
Arrow.
I was going to say,
that's
was
more the
no
Marines,
car involved.
Yeah, no, we didn't have a car. We had to walk everywhere.
So you were within walking distance, which is good. Yeah. Good.
You know, going back to what was our pattern or what was our style, my dad ingrained in us because I wanted to zigzag up and down the street. But he's like, if you do that, but when you come back, because in his mind, you don't go hit the same house twice.
Right.
Little did he know when you let me loose by myself that rule went out the window first. But he's like, no, we go down one side of the street on the way down. That way you can come up the street on the way back and still hit homes. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But as a kid, when I got on my own, no, it's like light to light. I'm like a moth to flame.
Forgot everything he said.
Yeah. Then, of course, once I had kids, I understood, like, no, the reason you do that is because you want to keep track of them, you don't want to get lost, and, by the way, you want to keep it full.
You don't want to miss anybody, but you don't want to hit anybody twice.
Right.
So,
and there was an age limit,
you want to skip the house where the guys give out dough.
When we got to people coming to my house for
when
candy,
I got people who need to shave coming to the door, I'm like, okay, dude.
No.
Dude, you're done.
Right.
Okay. You should be at a party. Okay. Yeah. Not trick-or-treating.
Right. And if I see you coming back with
when you can afford to buy candy cheaper than going trick-or-treating, you shouldn't be trick-or-treating.
You are in the NFL draft next year. You do not need to be trick-or-treating.
Weren't you on the high school paper?
I better not see you in my yard again with a roll of toilet paper.
Right. Yeah, right.
You're going to be using it to wipe if you do. So, yeah. No, the age limit had to be in place.
All right, so let's use this as a jumping point because we can get into it because we've got about 5 minutes till the top of the hour. We've got a Fox News break coming. You've got an entire segment you want to kind of get to about these kinds of costumes because for the first probably 7 or 8 costumes in my early recollection, maybe 6, because, by the time I hit 12 or 13, I was probably dressing differently. But easily my first 5 or 6 costumes were the molded plastic.
Yeah.
That, by the way, in Michigan, it was always cold. But when you're breathing hot air through mist, it would always get like misty, and you'd have to pull it up between houses. And you'd wear it like a beret, and you have to remember to put it back down for the next house. But it was always that molded piece of plastic for the face, and sort of the giant bib you get when you go eating lobster now, where they give that to you, so that way it doesn't get you like dirty and smashed up with all the butter sauce. That's what it was. It was a big giant bib and a mask.
Tiny eye slits, tiny mouth slit.
Yep.
Where it's nowhere big enough to see through almost or breathe
And
through.
see, y'all had one advantage that I did not. You did not have glasses to deal with.
Oh, did you have glasses as a
As soon
kid?
as I got glasses,
yeah.
my parents were like, you have to wear your glasses. I'm like,
Why does
I'm not wearing
C-3PO
my
have the glasses on the outside of the mask? Well,
So-
because I can't wear them on the inside.
Well, and I would try to wear them inside. I would try to
That never worked. did it?
lose my glasses in the house, and my dad's like, "Oh, they're in your underwear drawer." I'm like, "Dang! I thought that was a perfect hiding place," which I found for many reasons that's not the perfect hiding place.
So it would have been interesting had you gone without them walking around at night, right?
but
'Cause
I
you
can
might
see
have
perfectly
You
without.
can
Like,
see,
they're
okay,
only
well, it would've
really
been
for
all right.
reading even now, and it's like,
Okay.
well, you have glasses, you're going to wear glasses. So I've got the fogged up glasses, and it's like I already look like a dork because I'm,
You got like a mini greenhouse on the inside. It's like
Right.
dripping water.
right? And then you've got all the condensation building up inside, and it's Ohio, and the weather's unpredictable. So you could have like a 31-degree night where everything's freezing.
Oh, did you have?
And steam's coming off of you.
Do you have the Halloween where you're wearing the winter coat underneath
yes,
your
yes.
costume because it's so freaking cold?
But nobody will know I'm G.I. Joe.
Wear it on the outside.
Why am I wearing a parka as C-3PO?
Your fingers are
well,
blue.
you were
Please
just
let me go
telegraphing
with
the
this.
upcoming Empire Strikes Back. You had no idea they'd be on the ice planet Hoth, did you?
My joints are freezing off.
I'll go as an
my
ice
joints are freezing
explorer.
up.
What's an ice explorer? I don't know. I explore ice.
You're Yukon Cornelius
Please
from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Start singing silver and gold as you're walking down the street. Silver and gold.
Yeah,
Costume, that'd be great.
that's when my dad's like, has that kid been eating lead paint chips again?
Well, at the age we were, we might
Yes,
have.
we probably were.
Well, that was
that was also in our bag.
Was it flaking off the wall next to the crib? Probably.
That really weird neighbor. That's what he was giving out.
Gives away Orange Corning insulation.
Mom, Dad, I see rainbows.
Halloween treat. Take this Pink Panther Owens Corning insulation and take it to your dad. Terrible.
Dad, I was playing in the fiberglass because it had the Pink Panther, and I thought I was going to dress up like him. Bottom. I'm itchy.
Well, and then you'd always have that one kid in the neighborhood who would step in dog mess in the middle of all of
That
it.
was me. I did that.
That's my job.
But I tried to hide it. You can't
Right,
hide
no, you
that.
can't hide it.
You can hide it, but they know.
It's like, did somebody bring a horse with us?
Right, yes.
What's that smell?
doing here?
All right, we might have just enough time before we wrap up this first hour of our Halloween Spooktacular. We go to the phones. Good evening. Welcome to WBHF. Who's this?
Barbara,
Hey, Barbara. How you doing?
I'm great, but I want to know what you guys have been drinking.
We haven't. Have you? Wait, you? No, wait a minute. Okay, I said
That's not
we.
exactly true,
when I say
Barbara.
we, the collective we abstains me from the pub crawl. But in all honesty, you've heard us on Saturdays.
I want some of it.
Okay, well, they sell it at Table 20, Drown Valley, 8-Track.
When Alan
on the
says
corner.
no one's been drinking, his costume right now is actually, he's going as Pinocchio right now.
You guys are nuts.
Are you having a good time, though, listening?
Sounds like she is.
I've been listening, and you guys are nuts. I'm hanging up.
Okay, but bye, Barbara.
Happy Halloween,
Oh,
Barbara.
goodness. We've triggered another one. All right, we've got 60 seconds. Let's go to the phones. Good evening. Happy Halloween. Who's this?
Hey, this is Justin. I thought you guys were going to talk about like urban legends and stuff. Sounds like you guys are just talking like you're at a bar.
We're talking like we're at a bar. Well, okay.
Yeah, y'all were just sitting there congregating like a group of guys. I was just, I've been wanting to hear the show for a while. I ain't heard nothing about no urban legends.
About urban legends? Well, we haven't gotten to that point. We still got 2 more hours to go. We got to space out the content.
Give us time.
Yeah, keep listening. We go to the witching hour.
And by the way, what is your favorite urban?
Yeah, what is your
legend?
favorite? Well, hold on. We got like 20 seconds.
Make it fast.
Make it fast and make it count. All right, who's not there? Hey, guys.
Too scared to bring it up.
Wow, so it sounds like 3 guys just sitting around chatting at a bar. I think I'm going mission accomplished.
Yes.
We win.
Okay,
Yes.
so we've unlocked the next level. So let's do that in hour 2.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
I'm with you.
We are going to take a break. We're at the top of the hour. We do have a Fox News update coming your way. 2 more hours of the Halloween Spooktacular. Alan Sanders, Barry King, or BK on the air. We've got Walt Murray, Walt in the Darkness, having a great time in our studios on this Halloween, a blue moon, full moon night. 10 o'clock, top of the hour, WBHF Cartersville. Here's Fox News. And welcome back to our 6th annual Halloween Spooktacular here on AM 1450, 100.3 FM, WBHF. Alan Sanders, Walt Murray, BK from BK on the Air.
I got visions of Captain Kirk mask with that music playing.
I know.
Around us, painted gray.
What was that? Was that somebody opening the door?
Yeah. My mic stand all of a sudden became haunted.
It's not a mic stand. I'm not even sure what that means.
Steve stand?
It's not haunted.
Keep
It isn't haunted.
keep fiddling with it.
Okay. Hey,
I'll tell you,
guys
it's
sound
dark
like
in here and
a
it
couple
gets
guys at a
weird in
bar.
here.
Yeah.
Watch that.
Okay, so these 3 guys walk into a bar.
That's it. That's the joke. Stop right there. 3 guys walking to a bar.
All right, I want to get into our stash. We've already gotten our first hour. Yes, our first stash. Like when you got home, what was the process when you came home from trick or treating? Now I don't know what your parents made you do. When I was younger, they all had believed the urban legend of razor blades and pins and needles and staples, and so they wanted to look at everything first. Of course, like small explosives, dwarves, things like that might be stuck inside there, but. After you had a chance to get your bag of candy, what was the first thing? I mean, what did you do? Walt?
The first thing we did when we got home is dump it all out on the table. And Mom and Dad would go through it to make sure that there weren't any.
Okay, so they did the same thing for you. They did inspect it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Always had to get the inspection done.
BK, did you have the inspection? Everybody go through?
No.
You didn't have that?
No, I guess.
His
Really?
parents were like,
Why?
eat up.
Care guy.
Here, please, dear God, put your staples in there.
I don't know.
Maybe this is
Maybe
the year.
Staple his mouth shut or something.
Get that razor blade in his apple quick.
Yeah.
Your dad, BK's dad. Daddy needs new shoes. Come on.
Insurance policy on me. I don't know why. No, they did, but we dumped our. We didn't have to share whatever we got in our bag. That was ours. I mean,
Right.
we didn't do the.
Well, no, we didn't do
they
the
didn't
share.
Play, they didn't play the IRS and take away half of it and spread it around and all that stuff. They didn't do that. But we got our own candy, and after we poured, well, I poured it out. I don't think we had to, but that's just how we did it. Because that's the only way you can see what you got. Everything, just pour it all out.
Oh,
right there on
and
the
by the way,
floor.
what did y'all use for bags?
I had a
depending
plastic pumpkin when I was a kid.
Okay.
Like real little. Then I graduated to like a pillowcase.
I was going to say, I always used a pillowcase.
Never used a pillowcase. We always had the plastic bags with the logo, some kind of logo on it. Ghost
The trick or
boo
treat?
or boo, trick or treat, or
Right.
kiss my feet, smell my feet,
Kiss my feet.
whatever the rhyme is.
Whatever.
Yeah,
No, I don't do that.
He lived
Not my bag, baby.
He lived in a weird place.
that'd be Halloween for him.
Now, if you had siblings, did you ever have that moment where you had your stash returned, it's gone through the safety check, it's gone through the little airport scanner, there's no bomb smuggling parts. Do you play swap at all for a little bit? Did you all okay, I've got 75 bit of honeys. Anybody want a bit of honey? Like nobody wants a bit of honey. Okay, well, I got some Tootsie Rolls. Okay, well, I'll take one of those for a lollipop or something. Did you ever do that?
Not to that extent. My sister was 3 years younger than I, and I bullied her a lot. So I just usually took what I wanted of her candy, and she didn't do
Look,
anything
you got
about
plenty of Milky Ways.
Right. I mean, you don't need that. You hips
You
are
won't
big
like
already.
those.
So come on, honey. So yeah.
Wow.
I knew how to do it.
You were
even
worried
back
about
then.
me.
As a brother, yeah. But yeah, that's how we did it. And as far as leaving it behind, what got left at the bottom of the bag with me, it was stuff like, okay, I usually didn't get candy corn on Halloween. That was bought separately, and I don't like it anyway.
You didn't get the little mini bags of candy corn?
No, I never did. Or if we did, I don't remember.
did.
Or
Yeah, those were
I
terrible.
blotted it out of my memory. But the boxes of like Good and Plenty got left in the bottom. I didn't want those. And again, nothing licorice. And with me, nothing gummy. Dots, stuff like that. I was never been in, and I still don't like the dots and the gummy stuff. I don't like that stuff. That still gets left at the bottom of the bag.
Yeah, we would do a little bit of trading, but the biggest thing we would do is I think our mom had basically threatened our lives if we fought over it. So it was like, don't fight, or else Mom will take our candy. So like we knew that was
that got ingrained early.
That was death if we did that. So we would. I remember us sitting across the table from each other, and we'd go through, and it's like, now and later's trash can.
It's just not even negotiation.
It's like,
just throw it in the garbage.
yeah, it wasn't even.
Oh, so you would actually throw it away right off the bat?
Oh yeah, because
there was no
because you didn't want to reach
emergency
in your bag to get
backup.
something.
You want to get it again.
Well, you weren't allowed to put it back in your own bag?
Well, no, but I'm just saying, like, if later on that night you didn't want to reach in the bag for something and pull out some garbage.
Okay.
You wanted to.
You on your own threw it away.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got to be
you
honest.
just-
I have never thrown anything away Halloween night or anytime early. It always happened in like February the following year when there was like the dregs left over. But I never threw anything away early for some reason.
Well, sometimes we'd like give it to our friends or something. We're like, we don't like this guy very much. We'll give him, we'll give him the candy.
Hey, Leroy!
Right.
I got something for you.
Here you go.
I got something for you.
Sorry you had chicken pox on Halloween. Here's some now and later.
Sorry you couldn't go trick-or-treating. Mom said you could have these.
And the poor kid was so nice. He's like, that Walt guy gave me some now or later. He likes
And his
me.
parents are like, that's terrible. He's never allowed over here.
Cool, I just got braces.
Oh, that was the worst. Oh, that was the worst.
Oh, I never had braces, thank goodness.
Well,
Yeah, I
remember
never
those,
did either.
Those hard caramel cubes.
Cute. Oh, I love those little like Brock's.
Yeah, see, I
Plastic-
never
plastic
caramel
liked
wrapping.
it.
Yeah.
Oh no, there's Brocks which are good, and then there's like the knockoff Brocks that are like 3,000 years old and break your teeth.
Very hard.
Yeah.
What about the caramels that had the white, like almost center?
And like a fake nougat or something.
I don't know what it was. Almost like a cream in the
Yeah,
middle,
I
but it
remember
was
those.
caramel with a
I
little
remember those,
white
yeah.
center.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since we're on candy, why don't we go ahead and do this? Because last year, and by the way, Walt, you still get like top honors for your number 4.
His number 2.
Was it number 2?
Yeah,
Because
it was second place.
Oh, what's second?
Yeah,
place?
'cause
Okay.
I said like
I thought it was number 4 was
you
everything.
mean
but-
every candy that we did in the
Right.
list was number
Right.
2? Yeah,
'Cause we did
That's
it.
great. That's
We
great.
did a top 5, and we're going through, and he goes, and number 2 is everything that I didn't already mention. I'm like, wait, what? You can't do that.
but he was perfect. It was great.
I'm like, that's such a Walt thing to do. Does it contain sugar? It's in my top
it's
2.
in the top 2. Yeah,
So
that's
I decided this year we need to go. We need to go the opposite. We need to talk about the dregs. You mentioned a couple. I know I've already come up with my top 5. So I want to go through. We're going to do this like 5 through 1, like your 5th worst, 4th worst, like, and then
Gotcha.
what's the candy that's at the bottom of that bag, and you're thinking, unless like I hear about the angel of death coming, I'm probably not going to eat what's left. Like this is the everything else is gone before this candy. So let's go with our number 5, and I'll start it off. For me, number 5 worst candy to have in the bag, and this was like my tier 3. When I've eaten everything else that was worth eating, I would eventually turn to the bit of honey.
Okay.
Bit of honey was my number 5.
Yep. Bit of honey is on my list, but it's not my number 5.
Okay, what was your number 5? That's not how we play this game.
My number 5 is now and laters.
Now and laters, okay?
Number 5 for me, it was like bit of honey, but it was called Mary Jane's.
I remember the Mary
Yeah, I remember
Jane.
They
those.
were almost in the same type
Kind
of
of like
little
almost
wrapping.
a bit of honey with peanut butter,
Right,
almost.
and they had a little picture of Mary Jane, the little girl
Mary
on
Jane.
it too.
Now
But
it's
they
a
just-
now it means something different for the youth, but that
I
doesn't
don't know
mean
what are you talking about.
it's a 420.
Well,
joke.
Last Dance with Mary Jane.
I got that one, that reference. But yeah, Mary Jane, I didn't like those because they were kind of like the bit of honeys. But
Yeah, they were.
That's I guess what could be
I
my
remember
number
the
5.
Mary Janes, and had I not said bit of honey and you had said that first, I would have been like, oh yeah,
We could interchange
Those stayed at the bottom of the bag
Yeah.
too. Those actually I waited till they kind of melted and like turned into like goo at the bottom. Like, okay, I definitely can't eat it now.
But we still didn't sometimes we still didn't throw them away. Sometimes we still ate them. I did. Sometimes
Well, I
nothing
did.
left. I'm like,
I did. I was like, maybe it got better since the last time I tried it.
We think the
You're
Mary
trying to
Jane's like
convince
wine.
yourself?
It's like wine.
No, that never worked.
Maybe it needs to age more.
Aged candy.
Okay, so my number 4, Necco wafers.
Ooh. Oh.
It looked like old candy, even if it was brand new. I mean, it had the wax paper with the printing on it, and you could see the wafers. It was like big Smarties, but not anywhere near as good or sweet. It was like eating chalk with a hint of flavor.
I may need to add an honorable mention to my list because I forgot about those. I think therapy has suppressed that.
Yeah. Therapy has suppressed it.
My number 4.
There were no Necco wafers.
They do not exist.
They're not these are not the wafers you're looking for.
I'm in an alternative universe where this does not happen. Well, my number 4 is candy corn. The only good use of candy corn is to make fangs.
I agree. I will at least endure it 2.
Right.
Simultaneously, if I can make them fit on my incisors and make them look like fangs.
That is the best use for them.
And you can also create candy corn teeth with a pumpkin. Put them in the pumpkin teeth too.
Absolutely.
We did that sometime. I'll throw candy corn in there only because I didn't really get it a lot, but I know what it tastes like, and I've never liked it, and I hate it.
That's your number 4 as well?
I'll put that. I could have put it at number 5, but number 4 it'll be in. That's a good place for it.
That's a good
like
place.
it. Never liked it.
All right, number 3. I kind of stole from Walt last year, but it's not exactly the same. Number 3 is it's a category of any hard candy that's wrapped in cellophane with no labeling whatsoever. I have no idea where it came from.
No matter what color.
It's like the imitation Jolly Rancher.
Yeah, any kind of hard candy with a clear cellophane with no labeling. It doesn't say Brock's. It doesn't say, and it's just Grandma.
Because you're risking those cough syrup drops.
Right. I'm like,
it's like you're gambling.
And by the way, I would prefer the Halls
Those
because at least it opens your nose. I'd be like, I can smell. This is awesome.
Yep.
So yeah, anything like that, I'm like, no. I got to be desperate to open one of those.
Yeah, those are tough.
And I don't even know if it's multiple candies. That's why I just kind of stuck it in its own category. If it's just hard candy,
I'm
clear
with you,
wrap.
man. That's a legitimate category.
Okay, you're number 3.
So you pass. That is where I put Bit-O-Honey. And my wife actually agreed, and she was like, candy should not be gritty. I was like,
why is there sand in my candy?
It's
Great bumper
they
sticker.
actually took part of the comb and put it in there.
Why do they drop it in the parking lot before wrapping it and selling it to people?
Yeah, and I like
you can take out bits. Like, what is that?
And we should like honey, right?
You think?
It's just a little bit of honey.
It's a bit of honey.
But that's not it. It's like a little bit of honey wrapped in sand. And maybe some clamshells in there too.
Did Sandy take a trip to the beach?
Right.
Man.
It's like it came off the bottom of your flip-flop.
Oh, look, I should try that. It looks good.
And in fact, I think that was part of their advertising. It has the taste of the beach.
All right, BK, number 3.
Number 3 for me, I hated this. I don't know if you guys remember it, but it was in the shape of a candy bar, but it was called 3-color coconut. It had brown, pink, and white.
That. Yes.
And I never liked it. Didn't like coconut. It was kind of artificial anyway, so it didn't even taste like fresh coconut. But those, I usually wind up giving those to my sister because she actually did like coconut. So she usually got those. The 3-color, I don't know what the name brand was, but it was usually 3-color.
It's like I have a vague recollection of maybe what you're talking about, but I can't.
You probably remember what it was.
Yes, I remember it existing. I don't think I've ever even had one.
It almost looked like a Neapolitan ice cream cover, almost like it's called 3-color coconut, and I just hated those things. That would be number 3. It could have been 2. It could have been around the list.
I'll go. That's good. All right. You know what? We're getting interrupted right now, which is fine. Callers can trump what we're talking about. We're going through our 5 worst candies from least worst to worst. Let's go to the phones. Good morning. Good morning. Good evening. You're on the air, WBHF. Who's this?
That 3-colored coconut. I mean, it's supposed to be chocolate, vanilla, and strawberries, but it all tastes the same.
Yeah, make sure you turn your radio down. We're getting a loop coming around from wherever you're on the phone.
Yes, and I remember, that
was it supposed to be like Neapolitan then? If it was chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry.
I think it was supposed to be, but it all tastes the same. And
right.
I think it was just paint on there. It was not the
There's
flavors.
the paint chips we were talking about.
Either way, it tasted like crap.
Yeah, they weren't the best. No, they weren't.
Oh,
I
wow.
agree with you on that.
I don't think I've had those when you showed it to me. I was probably thinking of something else. I think there was like a little Brock's candy that was like that. It had little layers, but it was
Could have had a smaller one, yeah. It's a small version.
Well, if I
It's
remember, I
just
think
really
that was one my brother tried, and he was like, "It tastes like hair."
So we went from sand to hair.
So I just never bothered with it.
It tastes like hair.
Walt's candy all tastes like inanimate
I was
objects.
in LJ and seen it, and I was like, well, let me try it again. No, it still tastes the same. So if I go to LJ, I'll bring you some out.
Of course, no matter where it's
hey,
from.
I think we can all, as kids, can't we all identify with maybe it tastes better
Yes,
now?
right.
We'll give it a try.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I did, and now it still tastes like dirt.
He's confirmed.
Tastes like dirt.
He confirmed for us. Now we don't have to taste it, which is great.
Awesome. Thanks for calling in, buddy.
Boys, be good.
All right. Bye-bye. That's awesome.
Well, and I
Tastes
kind
like
of forget
hair.
about it every
I
once in a
have never heard that expression.
Yeah, you got to hang around my family more.
What are you doing?
You've now met my dad via Zoom.
I'm going to my wife like, can I try your hair? I hear it tastes like that 3-colored candy.
What's funny is we all know what hair and sand tastes like. Well, why do we know? It's
We're all
terrible.
thinking,
I know what that
makes
is.
Look,
sense.
I've been there. I've dropped my gum once at the beach and thought
Oh yeah. Oh,
I brushed it off.
That's odd. I dropped my gum at the barber shop one day.
Okay, I bet that was the first and last time that you did that.
Yes,
Absolutely. You learned
Yes.
that lesson the very first
that was one of the
day.
ones I did learn right off the bat.
Oh no, that's terrible.
You can't get that. You feel your teeth are weird. Like, yeah. Teeth are not supposed to be furry.
3-color coconut sucks.
All right, let's get to our
Terrible.
number 2. We're going through our worst candy. Number 2 worst candy that I've left in the bag. For me, any of the wax little Coke-looking bottles with the artificial syrupy goo in it. I'm like, what do you do with it? Are you supposed to chew the wax and the goo, drink the goo? The goo wasn't all that good anyway. What do you? Horrible. I just would throw. Actually, after trying one, I would throw those away.
That is actually my number 2 as well. And I really thought at one point I had found a redeeming wax soft drink snack thing when I found root beer, because I love root beer. That almost made me hate root beer. I don't know why, but those wax whatever things are horrible.
Mm-hmm. No, there's no redeeming value for them whatsoever.
Nothing.
And somehow I found one candy that's actually even worse,
Really?
because this was my number 2.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
And mine's partly because of just stupidity. But
Okay.
anyway.
Walt. I just did Walt. BK.
You mentioned them earlier, the beer barrel candies.
Yeah.
Was it shaped like this little oval beer barrels, but they're short and fat
Yep.
or whatever? I don't know what they tried to make them taste like, but I never liked those, and they would come wrapped individually too, I think, and I never ever liked those. Now
Those
I
were
could
terrible.
go the route of saying anything made out of the wax stuff, wax lips.
Wax
the wax
lips?
bottles
Oh, yeah.
that you had. I don't know who sat in a boardroom and said, let's make some fake wax bottles and fill it with some kind of liquid that no lab can tell us what it's made out
This
of.
notion of bubble gum has come and gone. We've got wax and goo.
Let
That's
them
a
chew the
whole
wax
lot
and
better.
spit it out or swallow it. Who cares what the kids do with it?
It's
That was not a
wax.
good idea. Not a good idea.
Yeah, and you'd think, somebody sitting around the boardroom would have to go, yeah, but kids kind of tend to like cake more than they like wax. Why don't we go more the cake route? Or why don't we go
Cake
And-
filled with goo.
And he,
candy bar?
and he was fired for some reason. We
You're
don't know why.
insane. What are you talking about? This is
Stop with the crazy talk. We're talking kids here. They'll eat
We
anything.
got bubble gum that tastes like sand. Why do we want to do that? So yeah,
right. Exactly.
Mary
We got
Jane's with
sand and
on it.
hair.
We got bit of hair.
Two
It's
flavors: bit of hair,
huge.
bit of hair, bit of sand.
You know, my mom would say that. She'd
Next
be eating-
year, bit of hairy sand.
She would say that she'd be eating your food somewhere at a restaurant or whatever, and whatever the food would be, she goes, "I think I'd rather." She hated finding a hair in her food when she.
Yeah.
I don't think
Really? You
I'm
don't
with
think
her.
that's like winning a
She took a
prize?
step-
That wasn't like the baby in the king cake?
She took it a step further. She goes, "I'd rather really find a bug in there."
Wait,
than
no.
a
Okay.
long hair.
Okay, no. I'm gonna have to call. I'm drawing a line at
Because
that.
If the bug
I
is
don't.
alive, at least he didn't die, and he could just get him off the food or whatever. But she hated finding hair in her food. It was terrible, and she had before, and it was terrible. So
So I kind of have a
No
rule
hair.
that basically I want the ingredients that it's supposed to come with, not
Right.
extraneous.
If
Stop
hair's
your
not on
crazy
there-
talk, you and your demands.
I know. I'm just crazy.
There's no fun in that. Why go
Why
out to
are
eat
those
it all?
hairnets required in the kitchen?
Why not go out to eat if you're
Well, it's
not
like-
rolling the roulette of botulism right there?
Well, it's like on that episode of Seinfeld where he scoops his spoon in his soup and there's a rubber band in it and he goes, "Hey, Steve must be back there cooking." Because there's a rubber band in the soup. So he knows who's cooking that day.
We just want food in our food. That's all we want.
That's all I want. Is that too much to ask?
Apparently, in some places it is.
Some places. That's why I make it all at home, dude. I'd rather cook everything. All right. We're here to our number one.
Oh,
the
no,
worst.
drum roll.
The one that you just leave.
No.
And when February rolls around, your mom's talking about, okay, Easter's coming. You got to finish this. You're like, you know what? You can just throw the rest away. I'm ready for the
I
Easter
don't even
candy.
think it made it that long.
My
number one.
number one worst candy, I would not eat them after the first. I tried one, and I was like, I will never, ever, 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 ever eat these again. I will not even attempt them. I never needed a second try. Good and plenty.
Those are garbage.
They bottled garbage and put a candy shell that even the candy shell didn't taste good. There was no redeeming value of the Good and Plenty.
Let's face it, Good and Plenty's look like pills prescriptions. They look like they're from the doctor.
They do.
I'm
we used to
eating
use-
medicine.
Mom, I don't have strep throat.
And we used to use Good and Plenty's in stage plays when we needed a pill on stage for an actor to take one. We would use that sometimes. And there's a reason I think they look like drugs or some kind of prescription drug. Is they're
Yes.
terrible.
There's
Yes.
probably a company somewhere that went around just at the turn of the century and they had like this miracle drug that was supposed to, like, I don't know, take warts away, and then everybody realized it didn't work. And he bought it up like, but I could sell it as candy and I'll call it Good and Plenty because I have a good and plenty amount of these because nobody ate them.
But
Nobody used them.
let's be clear. If they cleared up warts, I would eat them.
No, because I don't
hate-
have
hate
warts. I don't
hate
have
warts.
them.
I've
I don't
had
need to
them
worry
before.
about it.
I've had warts before, and I'd love to get rid of them really quick. And if Good and Plenty would do it, I'd do it.
No,
But
there's
they're-
nothing
they're
good
terrible.
and there's
They're
nothing
terrible.
good about it, and there was plenty of them left when I got done.
Yeah, those were the ones that were like garbage can.
Yes.
Okay, so
We
my
mentioned
number
them
one
earlier, yeah.
I've got to have a little explanation here.
Uh-oh. He's not
Not
gonna
a-
do what you
not
did
a-
last
Okay, we
year.
got less than 90 seconds.
Okay, so you go into a restaurant, you're leaving, and they have those mints.
Oh, in the
In the
little
plastic-
jar. Yeah.
yeah. So a lady in our neighborhood used to give out, she'd have bags and bags of those mints.
Now, these are like the sugary, the kind of
Yes.
dissolved mints. Okay,
Right,
I know
and,
what you're talking
and
about.
they're
Made
the
out
ones,
of
like
chalk.
for your breath when
Yeah,
you
they
leave
were
the restaurant.
chalky, yeah.
Yes, they're
Terrible.
chalky.
I know what you're talking about.
Nothing wrong with them, but in the context of Halloween and wanting to get cool candy, you got the mints that you had to pull the plastic apart, and they're already kind of open anyway,
yes.
and they're always broken and stuff. So it was those mints that were always like the biggest disappointment,
yes.
other than religious.
Comic
Even
book.
then,
religious
even then you didn't
comic
want them.
But yeah, just we got a mint, like a restaurant mint.
So that was worse to you than Good and Plenty?
Well, yeah, because it wasn't great, and then it was just a disappointment. It's like Tim's house has Snickers. This house has restaurant mints.
It's like how you found my room. If you want to come to my house, just the room that smelled of weed and disappointment.
I would have marked that. I would have marked
Oh,
that
here's
house.
Alan's room. I can tell. Just follow your
I would have
nose.
marked that house for TPing immediately.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that's
All right,
the one you
we're
do.
down
with the trick.
to 30 seconds. BK, your crown jewel of what gets left in the bag.
I can do it quick. I could easily pick any of the ones you guys picked. They're terrible. But the one that I still, and we've already talked about it, I've already talked about it. I've hated it with every fiber of my being since I was born. Black licorice. If you give it to me in any shape or form, and I know a lot of it can kill you. We've had the stories because of what's
Isn't
in it.
that what Good and Plenty is with a candy
It
shell,
could
though?
be a licorice
so.
time. So
Yeah.
whatever's anything licorice like that, packaged or by itself, I hate it. I will not eat it. If I'm forced to eat it, I'm not going to do it.
All right, we're at the bottom of the hour. We've made our way through our first list. We are halfway through our Halloween Spooktacular. Can you believe that? But that means we still have.
What time is it?
Would you not do that? I'm trying to give an out. You couldn't wait like 20 seconds.
You were in shock, right?
It's my
Walt.
tuberculosis.
It's the Rona. Thank you. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with more of our Halloween Spooktacular. The phone number is 770-386-1450 when we come back. Welcome back. 10:35 the time, just a little past the halfway point of our 6th annual Halloween Spooktacular. Alan Sanders, Walt Murray, BK on the air, all having a great time. You're out there. Hope you're having a good time too. We're having a good. It's Halloween, you know. It's trick or treat. It's fun. It's pranks. It's tricks. It's just having a. You know, there's so much going on in 2020. You would think it's just good to just kick back and laugh, don't you?
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Is it okay if we can just kick back and act like a bunch of jerks?
Why not?
Idiots.
The year's coming to an end. Let's try to make it go out with a bang.
All right. Well, we have a special guest joining us, and it is our only guest tonight. We are bringing in somebody who has a job that I think is right up our alley when it comes to Halloween and our Halloween Spooktacular. We have a guy who tries to investigate the haunts of certain ghosts and ghost sightings and whether or not the ghosts exist and what they're doing and whether or not they're going to leave people alone. We've got Kyl Cobb joining us via our Zoom line. Kyl, how are you, buddy? Happy Halloween.
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
Doing wonderful. Now, Walt, you actually found Kyl, and I wanted you to chat for a second on how this relationship formed.
Oh, gosh. Kyl and I have known each other since college. We worked on the newspaper staff together, and Kyl has always been a person who had the most interesting hobbies. So he and I have remained friends and have been friends, gosh, probably since the week Facebook started. And so I've always kind of kept up with his antics. And when we were talking about guests for tonight, I just thought we could not have a better guest. So I'm glad Kyl could join us.
All right, Kyl. Well, let's chat for a second. The fact that you acknowledge Walt already has you on a low level of our scale. Yeah, we're like, but no. With all that aside, tell us a little bit about how did you first, what got you interested in the idea of ghosts and ghouls and things that go bump in the night?
Well, it actually started when I was 12 years old. I got lucky. I had a college professor.
I wish I had gotten lucky at 12.
Yeah, not that way. But I had a college professor give up his college post to start teaching middle school. And he decided he would give all his students a college education, the same as his current curriculum was prior. So starting at age 12, we got a classical Greek education, Greek theater, the Greek religion, and that eventually just led into a general interest. I also got lucky when I was at college. I had a really good history professor named Howard Sheely, and he would read from things like the Medici family's diary, so it brought history alive. My father died right as I entered college, and so that started me on a religious quest. And Walt was actually a little part of that because he was involved with a religious organization on campus. And so eventually that led me to study 22 different religions. I've now traveled to 60 countries around the world to study that. And as part of it, I got really lucky to actually submerge myself in these different religions. So everything from, I had a shaman down in Peru heal me when I fell off a cliff. I was actually able to participate with the Maya in their sun death ritual, where they do a voluntary possession to bring a demon into one of their volunteers. So,
sign me up for that program.
I think I'll pass.
It's really that.
It's either that or sleep with the mother-in-law. Wait, what? No, sign me up for demon possession.
It just kind of opened up my world to the impossible, and I never planned on getting involved in the paranormal. I had a young lady in Atlanta who some of her friends tracked me down because I used to have all my travel website up. And so they tracked me down and said that she's got something after her then 3-year-old child. And I said, I'm not a paranormal investigator. I've studied religion and the evolution of religion. And that's kind of where it ends. I actually had just a few months earlier, back in the dark ages, I was involved with 99X radio out of Atlanta.
Okay.
And so I had the opportunity to meet Grant and Jay from the original Ghost Hunters show.
Okay, cool.
And to be able to chit-chat with them and hang out with them. And so when this girl approached me, that was the next step. I said, hey, I don't know, but I have these experts that I've interfaced with. I contacted them, but this is right as their show was becoming big. And so they were like, we're booked for the next 2 years. So they referred me to some local scam artist in Roswell, Georgia. And after I vetted them, I realized that they were just there for a buck. And this girl was really terrified. She thought there was something after her 3-year-old. So I conned some of my friends into doing a thrown together paranormal investigation. And it just so happens that this particular case really was haunted.
So let's slow down for that one. So would you convince them, like, we're going to spend the night in someone's house and wait to see if something goes boo?
Yep, exactly. I spent about $2,000 on equipment to imitate what I had seen on TV. And so we set up video cameras and we had audio all over the house and bought thermal thermometers and things like that, laser thermometers. And we got there and literally less than 20 minutes in, stuff started happening. One of my best friends, who was also with 99X Radio, Matt Jones, he brought his son, who was then just a kid, about 15. And he was nervous and playing with a laser, and something slapped him on the wrist, and he had a burn on his wrist. We also had a monitor outside that was looking at all the IR cameras, the infrared cameras, and we noticed that one of the places the IR camera went dark. And we just assumed that the camera had failed. We also had some regular video cameras, and one of them, the light for the monitor on it went off. We went in to change the batteries out just in case, and we're running audio in the background. We didn't know it at the time, but a voice just as clear as you and me speaking says, "Watch this." Right over the voices of Matt and his son talking as they changed the battery. The room that went dark right next to them in the other bedroom, this fog or blurry thing moves toward the camera. You can hear the camera's motor trying to do autofocus as something approaches it, and it shakes the camera.
Oh, my goodness.
And, normally that would be just over the top. But we didn't know any of this was happening, again, because
you only knew this after looking and listening to the stuff later.
Yeah. So at that point, we finish our investigation. It's about 2:30 in the morning. We think, okay, we've done a good job. Let's go home and listen to the evidence and watch the evidence. As soon as we get out of the house, we go through, and one of the things we did is every door that we closed, we put a little piece of tape on it with our initials, just to show that we closed up everything in the house. We're standing outside. Something pulls back the blinds to the girl's bedroom and apparently is looking out at us. Scooby-Doo style, we all run into the house. And we go look in the room, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. And behind us, something starts banging on the door. I won't be betraying any secrets to say 3 of the 5 of us ran outside.
They didn't want to stay in that room, did they?
No. But the irony is, we look in the room, we don't see anything. We go ahead. We're really excited at that point, but we go ahead and leave. The young lady calls about an hour later, and she's like, "I'm on my way home. Is it okay to go home and get clothes?" Because they had abandoned the house when some of the paranormal activity started a week earlier. And I said, "Well, nothing hurt us, but we haven't reviewed the evidence. We did have some strange things that we'll have to talk to you about later." About 20 minutes
There may be somebody
later,
living in your girl's bedroom. Right. That might be something you might mention.
Small problem.
20 minutes later, she calls back just screaming and crying. She's like, "There's something banging on my baby's door." She had never had that happen before. She actually abandons the house, leaves all her stuff there, and doesn't come back. That should have been the end of the story. And for me, that's the point where we started doing this more and more, and I actually started studying the history of paranormal investigation. But it turned out 6 months later, she had moved 15 miles away, closer to Atlanta, and it started again.
Wow.
So that's what got me involved.
Okay, that's it's a creepy start to the story. I'm suddenly wow. Okay, so let me ask this, and this is in all sincerity, because part of me, as a just objective person, would love to have that kind of an experience because I want to believe, but I also, in my heart of hearts, don't have any expectation that will ever happen because I don't believe. What do you say to somebody like me?
Well, I'm actually the same way. I'm one of the biggest skeptics you will ever find. I break hearts all the time. I get sent, on average, a couple hundred photos or inquiries to me personally a month. And most of the time, it is something perfectly normal. That banging noise is what they call where water pipes have air in it. And so that can be it. Or it can be maybe a rattling of some other equipment in the house, or it can be creatures in the ceiling.
Right.
So my primary objective, disprove. And most things I do disprove and discount. Every once in a while, there's something that crosses that line and I can't. There's a house in particular I deal with a lot. It's located about 90 miles outside of Nashville. It's a bed and breakfast called the Thomas House, and it's been featured on a couple of TV shows. I've been there and stayed there collectively about 130 nights, roughly. And a group I work with does it every month. As a matter of fact, I should have been there tonight, but I didn't make it. So the thing about this unusual about this place is a cult owned it from 1988 to 92. And we found out that this was an Armageddon cult. And so they tried to summon the dead and they tried to summon demons before they turned into a complete scam.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't summon the dead.
Did you guys not watch Evil Dead?
Right. That's not going to end well.
Well, I was able to track down some eyewitnesses to confirm that they did this. There was when the current owners bought the property, when it had been foreclosed, out in the trees there were folded up prayers in like pieces of tinfoil, like the old Greeks used to do. He brought them in and put them into a room in the hotel, and that room burns up. It ends up almost at that point wiping out several rooms in the hotel, but it caused them to have to renovate after they say. Underneath the carpets, there were summoning circles. And it so freaked them out, they wiped it out. They didn't take any pictures because they were too freaked out about it. And also in the main dining room area, when they first bought it, again, there was summoning circle in the middle of the room, and it freaked them out, so they tiled over it. So there's still a lot of elements there. And the weird thing is, unlike any place else, and like I said, I've traveled all over the world, and I do this all the time with paranormal locations. This place is just off the chain haunted. So if you wanted that experience, for me, that's a place that I go to consistently. And there are one of the characters there, they've been getting audio samples. We call them EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, which are things you normally can't hear to the naked ear. They come up on your audio recorder and things like that. They started about 9 years ago, or maybe 10 years ago at this point, getting audio samples from a child that they thought was, I'm not going to be PC on this, they thought had a learning disability.
Okay.
Or speech impediment. But what it turned out is he was just real Appalachian. And over the years, he told us his name. He says, we asked him, well, what happened to you? His name was Edwin. We say, Edwin, what happened to you? And he'll say stuff like, I was choked back there, or I drowned back there. And we'll say, well, what happened? How'd that happen? No lifeguard. Well, subsequent to this, we actually find his obituary from 1961, identifying him. And we thought he was asking for his brother Billy. We find out he has a brother named Willie who was the lifeguard on duty, who, according to the newspaper reports, had left Edwin alone in the swimming pool to go get lunch at the hotel. However, I found a local who was friends with Willie, who said that Willie was actually out making out with a girl out back when Edwin drowned. But the apparitions are incredible. There's a little girl who was caught in a house fire across the street named Robbie. She was wearing her gown. She got too close to the fire, the stove, as they were putting wood in. A spark hit her gown, caught her on fire, burned her up, and burned the whole house down. Back then, it's so remote, they didn't have ambulance service and they didn't have a hospital near. So they brought the little girl to the hotel office at that point where she died. And so Robbie will hear sometimes, and these aren't to the naked ear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes you hear them to the naked ear, displaced voices. And so sometimes you'll hear Robbie singing things like, row, row, row your boat, or ring around the rosy, just child games. And it's really amazing when something like that happens. And things like that, I can't explain. We know that it's not somebody faking it, but it just defies logic, and that kind of drives me a little crazy sometimes.
All right, because we are starting to wrap up. We're with Kyl Cobb. He is a paranormal investigator, a ghost hunter, for lack of a better word. And from what he said earlier, if you're just coming in late in this, tries to find logical, reasonable explanations for the sounds, because that can bring more peace of mind than anything. I'm assuming a lot of your clients would rather know, okay, it was a squirrel in the attic that was going in the walls, rather than something actually from the great beyond.
Yeah, well, it's about 50-50. About 50% of the clients want an explanation. About 50% have seen too many TV shows. I can tell you what demon appeared on Supernatural this week, or Back Bagans this week, because they watch these shows and suddenly they're associating their lives with that.
Gotcha.
So I break a lot of hearts along that line. But then again, when you can help someone kind of take control of their house again, when it's just something normal, that makes a big difference.
So as we wrap up, I guess the question, because I wish we had, and we're going to actually have more time with you on our podcast in an episode later coming up. If someone is listening and they I just would love to have somebody that's done this or experienced this. Maybe I'm not crazy, or maybe I am, but I want to talk to them. Where can they learn a little bit more about you, or if they want to engage with you or contact you? What do you have in terms of website, Facebook, whatever?
I actually have a website that I'm one of those idiots that actually has my number out on it. It's called LAST, LAST, GASP, GASPS.com. And I've got I published a lot of books. Just did one on biblical demons and things like that. But I have a lot of the material from my first book, which was kind of a textbook for paranormal investigators, on that website, so people can go there and kind of look up some of the stuff there. I do have my contact information there, and if it's something not urgent, just send me an email and I'll take a look at it. If it's something that's a dire emergency, my phone number's on there too, where you can call. And people don't hesitate to call. I get calls 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from all over the world.
What would count as a dire emergency?
The walls on the 53rd precinct are bleeding.
Well, I mean, I've literally had people that are sitting in their house going, there's something that is going after my child. There's scratch marks on them when they wake up every morning. There are, I hear voices. And, so a lot of that is listening to them for the first 2 hours and going, okay, are you on meds?
Right.
Because there is that crossover.
Right.
There are a lot of people who have existing mental conditions, and part of what I do is I have to assess and screen them.
Right.
I also have a lot of calls from people, everything from literally clergy that have done an exorcism and it didn't go right, to paranormal teams that are scared off of a location. And it just, usually if there's a child involved, that's a high priority.
Yeah,
and I work
high priority
all over the world. So sometimes I'll get a call and I'll say, hey, you're in Atlanta, let me send this team to help you. You're in Savannah, let me send this team to help you. So a lot of the groundwork is done locally by their folks. And then if it's confirmed to be something that's a threat, then I'll hop on a plane or get in a car and I'll go take care of it.
We probably won't have as much time because, like I said, we're almost out of time. Do you try to exorcise the house? Do you try to figure out why that thing's happening and try to remove it? Or, I mean, like, what's the resolution for people?
Well, first and foremost is to identify if there is a real threat. And then once the real threat's identified, if it is something paranormal, and if it's something that's just what we consider a typical apparition, there's a whole line of processes to try to get that settled. If it's something that seems to be far more extreme, which is very rare. Demons and things like that are extremely rare. It's not like on TV. You don't get possessed every week.
Well, that's good because I was worried.
Yeah. In that very rare case, and that's like literally less than 1% of the cases, it's something credible. In that case, we will assess the client's religious beliefs. And if they're in a religion that believes they can handle that, we'll contact their local priest if an exorcism is warranted. And we'll just I'll act as an advisor in that type of case. If it's something that, they're Native American, for instance, we'll contact a Native American priest or Jamin or shaman, whatever their religion usually addresses it with. And we hope that solves it. And if not, we escalate it to different steps.
Awesome. Kyl, I know we only scratched the surface, but for a Halloween night where we're doing our Halloween Spooktacular, having a paranormal investigator, someone who's looking into this for both the fakes and for the real, thank you for taking time with us. We really appreciate it, and looking forward to talking to you again, I think on Monday coming up for our podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks,
Take care.
Kyl.
Thank you. Have a great night.
All righty.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Wow. Walt, did you hear that? I mean, could you imagine if you had somebody call you and say, I feel like something is going after my 3-year-old.
That is bad.
I mean, BK, you were kind of quiet through that listening. You brought a paranormal investigator in here a couple of years ago. They picked up some EVPs here at the Grand Theater.
Yeah, Kyl used the phrase an exorcism that didn't go right. I don't even know what that looks like, and I don't even know what that means. That doesn't sound good at all, does it? Oh, this didn't work. And did it get worse, or what happened? That's just terrible. No, I was actually listening to him with just a mouth agape, wide-eyed expression, and just listening because it's fascinating. And it's the skeptic at me kind of thinks, well, but what is this really going on? Is it a hot water heater making a noise in the basement or something like that? Because that's what they try to do. Every one of them that I've ever tried to talk to, a paranormal investigator, goes out and their first job is to debunk and find out what it isn't first or whatever. Right. And if anybody pulls up, they've told me several times, if anybody pulls up in your yard to investigate something that's driving a hearse with yellow lights flashing on it with a symbol on the side, don't use them. They're just,
really?
They're goofballs. Right. Don't do that. Yeah. So get somebody.
Anybody see a ghost?
So, anybody that's serious.
So you're saying that Ghostbusters
so.
is not really the group to use?
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Something like that. But he is right about a lot of what he said. It conforms with and it confirms with a lot of other paranormal investigators that I've actually talked to on the radio before and had out here before. They do that first. They try to explain.
Well, that actually makes me feel better. I mean, you would think the first thing you want to do is try to make sure that are you dealing with a mental health issue?
Right.
Like he said, you want to deal with it. And is there any other logical, reasonable explanation for why this is going on?
Is this Uncle Fred in this attic, or is it a squirrel?
Right
up here.
Right.
I mean, what is going on? Yes.
So, wow. I have never personally, except for the girl that went woohoo and disappeared behind me one night walking the dog. I've never had an experience, and I still don't believe that. It was just a creepy story. But I would love to find an experience like that where I go, okay, guys, I don't believe this stuff, but you got to hear this, because I don't have one of those. In almost 50 years of living, I don't have a ghost story. Some people do. I just don't.
Well, I've got you by 4 years, so I'm lived a boring life when it comes to ghosts and UFOs and Bigfoot and Sasquatch or anything like that. I haven't seen any of those. I've never had a ghostly experience, and I've never seen a UFO that I can't explain probably what it was, but I've never had anything like that happen either to me.
Walt, got 20 seconds? Anything like you? You got a ghost story?
It'll take longer than 20 seconds. But when I was living in Athens...
Is that why you got the religious comic books?
Yes. That's why
they knew.
That's why I sit in the corner holding them, weeping. No, I had a weird
Tell me
experience
it'll be all
when I
right.
was in Athens.
Tell me it'll
that,
be all right.
I'll
All right.
tell you when we got more time.
We have got to get into that next hour, but it is 11 o'clock. We still have an hour to go. Welcome back. I don't know why it just ended. I guess it went to the commercial. Welcome back, everybody, to the Halloween.
It's haunted.
Yeah, there's a gremlin in there. Hey, we're still trying to do the show.
Car in there.
You know what? I played that earlier. It never stopped and did an ad midway through like it did. I did that in my show earlier this morning.
It is Halloween.
It's right on the heels of our ghost guy. It's like, hey, you don't believe? Okay, how about I interrupt your show? How about that?
Your music about Christine.
That's
The haunted
crazy
car.
story I told off the air.
All right, if you're just waking up going, where's my music? Well, this is Alan Sanders. We got BK on the air. We got Walt Murray. We're having our Halloween extravaganza. It's the Halloween Spooktacular, our 6th annual, where we like to talk about all things related to the holiday, the Halloween. We don't get to go trick-or-treating anymore. We talked about that in the first hour. This has become our new Halloween tradition, at least for me and BK. Walt, this is your second year with us, and if all goes well, we'll continue to do this for years to come, because honestly, this is what I now look forward to. When I was a kid, I looked forward to the door-to-door, and then I looked forward to going out with my friends. Then I looked forward to going to the parties. Then I had my own kids, and I looked forward to teaching them, watching them dress up, seeing the glint in their eyes. And then there was that period of time where it was like, oh gosh, they're grown up. They don't want me. There's really nothing to do. I guess I can hand out candy. And then all of a sudden we have this, and this is my new trick-or-treat.
Yeah, this is a ball.
I love it. I have a good time. And I will, by the way, I will keep coming to this radio station and doing a show until they tell me to never come back. Just let you know that. Until they kick me out of here.
Well, and after having Kyl on, I'm just telling you, I'm going to be scared to go to my car, so we may just have to stay on all night.
Now, do you have to worry if you tell the spirits you believe in them, or if you tell the spirits you don't believe in them? Which is the one that gives you the worry? Because if they believe in them, like, cool, I got a ride home.
Right.
And if you say I don't believe, like, oh yeah,
Right.
which is worse?
Yeah, I get to carry the spirits from Cartersville back to my house.
Because I'm still in the camp of I'm throwing the BS flag. I
Yeah.
don't believe it.
I take it a step further. I dare them. I'm like, come get me.
Yeah, I want to
Come on.
believe.
Bring it on.
That's
I'm
why.
just kidding, though.
Right. I guess I have a...
That's why they leave a note. Well, because you don't believe, we won't come for you. We'll
Right.
just come for your kid. Wait. Oh no! Wait. Hold.
I just have a healthy respect for the spiritual realm, and I choose not to mess with it.
No Ouija boards in your house.
Right. No Ouija boards,
In other
no
words-
incantation.
Note to self.
Walt has seen Poltergeist several
Yes,
times. so
right.
that's good.
Yes, I'm fine not unlocking that door.
Where was your house built again?
I'm a
Indian
good...
Burial Mound?
Right over an Indian burial ground.
I hope not.
You never told me
It just gives me a good view.
that you built my house on an ancient Indian burial ground.
Moved to headstones, didn't you?
No, you didn't. Well, not to my recollection.
Yeah.
He says he mentioned it like 7 or 8 times.
Yeah, so watch Poltergeist if you don't recognize those references.
Well, you know
speaking-
what? I'm
Speaking of
It
movies,
will
Oh,
freak
good.
you out.
Look
Wow.
at you. It's almost like you were in charge.
I am sometimes on Saturday. It's creeped out of me.
Sometimes.
Sorry. I didn't mean to do
Well,
that.
it's time for another list. I think this is a good one. I think, you know what? We've done our favorite scary movies, what we thought was the all-time scariest. We've gone through like ghost movies. But I thought, you know what would be a good list? Because we all have our favorite movies. They may not be the scariest, or they may not be necessarily 100% Halloween, but we watch it around this time. So instead of it being like our top 5 scariest or whatever, I wanted, what are the 5 movies, if we can keep them to the top 5, that every Halloween, every time the fall hits and this time of year comes around, which ones do you have to kind of watch every year?
I'm glad you put that caveat on it because these are not my 5 most scariest horror films of all time.
Right.
This is my 5 Halloween movies. That I
Right,
like
the
to
movies you would
yes.
watch around this time. You might
Exactly.
watch them maybe in the summer for the
Sure,
fun of it,
yeah.
but you find yourself, okay, it's October, we're getting close. These are the movies I know I'm going to at least watch these 5. I might watch a whole lot more, but what are your top 5? We'll go backwards in order from 5 to 1. My number 5, which could be a number 1 any other given day, but because of the list I have, is Ghostbusters. For me, I could watch that anytime. It's my favorite funny ghost movie. It holds up still to this day. And the worst part, I shouldn't say the worst, but one of the worst things about the pandemic was the fact that they put the Ghostbusters sort of sequel that was supposed to come out this past summer off to next year because it
Right.
looked so cool.
It looks awesome.
So for me, Ghostbusters is a must watch every year.
Isn't that terrible? We're looking forward to 3 great films, at least I know we are. Black Widow, Ghostbusters Afterlife, and James Bond, No Time to Die. And those 3 have been just kept pushed back, and I hate that.
Driving me crazy.
Yeah. Who's next? Is he going to you? Going to me.
Go to you. Okay.
to you.
Walt,
My fifth-
Walt
okay.
maybe shove over to you. Okay.
My 5th movie, I've got 5 of them, and like I said, next year, sometimes this list
This
changes
list
a
could be
little bit,
different,
yeah.
right.
But
As
for
of
the
now.
most part, as for the most part, the movie came out in 1981, directed by John Irwin, and it's a film adaptation of a book that Peter Straub wrote called Ghost Story.
Yeah.
And to me, it's really one of the best ghost story films of the throw Poltergeist in there and some others, but it is a fantastic movie that didn't make a lot of money in the theater when it came out. It kind of disappeared, but since then, it's one of those movies that's kind of gained legs over the years and became kind of a
Cult following.
Yeah, and it's very good. What a spectacular cast! Melvin Douglas, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., John Houseman, and Fred Astaire are in this film playing the older men that did something in their past when they were in college, and it came back to haunt them in later years.
Literally.
It's a classic. Yeah, it's a classic ghost story, and it is a great haunting movie.
And you said it's like pretty chilling. Like it creeps you out.
it is without being graphic.
Right.
It is rated R for other reasons, but it really kind of makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up every time I watch it. It's just that kind of a film.
Ugh.
I love it.
Walt.
Yeah, well, my number 5 is there are actually 2 movies set in the same town that scare me for completely different reasons. But the Amityville Horror, Jaws, of course, is set in that town too. But the Amityville Horror has always been one that has. I don't watch it every year.
Now the original 70 whatever
Yeah,
70
It was 78. Was that when it came
Yeah,
out? I
so
can't
somewhere
remember.
late
Yeah.
70s, probably 70, 77, 78. Yeah,
Okay.
and I think just because of how old I was when I watched it, it really freaked me out.
Yeah, see, there's a couple of these movies in my list that the reason they're there is because I was really too inappropriately young to see them.
If
And
I watched it now, I wouldn't think anything of it.
You know, when you say leaving a scar, it left like an axe trench in my head.
Yes,
79.
that is that one.
79.
79. Okay.
Another good year
yeah.
for movies.
So that movie always freaks me out.
That almost made my list, by the way. I just don't watch it every year, so that's why I took it off.
Yeah, I don't watch it every year, but pretty close.
Then you didn't follow the rules. This is what you watch every year.
I couldn't think of 5 that I watched.
Okay, fine. Let's go to number
You
4.
are a rebel.
You are.
Did you know
You
that? I love
changed
that.
the rules.
I
Rebel
love
without
that.
a clue.
For me, number 4, a show we did a very special 5-part series on. My other favorite ghost movie.
Would you give your number 5? Where do we
My
start?
5 was Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters, that's right, all right, sorry.
My number 4 is Poltergeist. If I go the
Yeah.
opposite end of where now it's a creepy ghost story, but still kind of an adventure, still kind of a family, and still told in a way where you're still on the edge of your seat and there is a resolution, Poltergeist holds up still for me to this day.
It really does, and it's a movie that you can watch, and there's still some scenes in that film. And I know we want to talk later in the program about one movie scene that gives you the creeps into the.
Yeah, we're gonna have to rush some of the stuff. We're running out of time.
Too, I know, but wow, that one would qualify with a lot of scenes from it, and I can still watch Poltergeist and still enjoy it every time, no matter how many times I've seen it. Fantastic.
Is that your number 4?
No, it's not. It didn't
Okay.
make my list for Halloween.
So you're
movies,
agreeing with
but
me,
it's
but what's your
great.
number 4 then?
Oh, my number 4. My number 4 is John Carpenter's Halloween. When we talk about Halloween, so let's
Good
John
one.
Carpenter happens to be probably one of the best directed films he made. We can talk about maybe The Thing being a better crafted movie, but Halloween still was one of the earliest films that broke the ground with him and got him noticed as a filmmaker. And it's called Halloween, so I watch it during Halloween, and it just fits perfectly because of how kind of chilling it is, because there's really nothing much supernatural about Halloween. It's all kind of based in reality about a psycho patient who's really got the crazy psychosis for his sister, and he's after and wants to kill her, and that's what it's about.
Yeah,
It's
no,
crazy.
it's great. The original Halloween, very innovative. I mean, there's been so many slasher movies to follow, but that's still the best.
And how many people have copied John Carpenter with setting up a scene with the heroine in the
foreground.
and the bad guy's back there lying down. You think he's dead, and he just sets up, and she doesn't see him, and he's coming closer. I think John Carpenter started that, and it's still chilling to watch.
The tension,
that split focus camera work that he does.
You can almost hear people in the audience now saying, "Turn around, turn around."
And how many directors do their own music for their film? He even does that. So
He's been on tour the last year or two doing just the music of his movies.
John's the triple threat. He's
Incredible
great.
talent.
Yeah.
Number 4 for you, Walt.
Well, it was going to be Halloween, but then I was thinking I don't really watch that every year, but Poltergeist I do.
Okay.
So Poltergeist was my number 4. And, since I said this when we first started breaking it down in the podcast, it has not historically been my favorite, but I think of, now more of the non-comedy actual ghost stories. It has become my favorite Halloween movie because it'll freak you out.
Well, when you have kids, especially if you have daughters,
Yes.
it takes a new level. I remember thinking as a kid, I loved it. Then I saw it as an adult, and it was actually terrifying as an adult. Like, I can't even imagine having a child lost in some parallel world in the house, hearing it scream, hearing her being chased by something and can't do anything about it.
And the doorway to it is just an innocuous,
it's a closet.
It's a
closet
with a gaping hole to another dimension.
The whole movie,
Yeah.
and then having the footsteps run by you and listening to that on a headset so you can hear it go from one to the other. I mean,
The
that
sound
is
design of that
a
movie
great
is
movie.
incredible.
And if you want to test your speakers out sometime, no matter what you're in, either in your car or your home, or you got a Bluetooth, a good one, put in the soundtrack by Jerry Goldsmith and listen to it sometime. Just
that was
how it sounds on its own.
The music is great.
It almost tells a story on its own.
Well, and I think that the other thing they hit on in that movie is that the one place you should really feel safe is at home. And then they
Home and
blow
in your
that.
bed, tucked in your bed, you
Yes.
think, this is where I'm safe.
This is where I'm safe.
No
and this
way.
is where my family's safe.
No
And
way.
Not if you hear the little jingle bells on the little wrist of the clown all of a sudden and you look
Right.
up and it's not sitting in the seat. I'm telling you, the first time I saw that as a kid, I was like, where'd the clown go?
Yeah, I'm not
Where'd the
gonna tell
clown
you-
go? Where'd the clown go?
This is a family show. I can't use the words that I in my head when that happened.
And even
Because it's like Bill Cosby, because first you say it, then you do it.
That's right.
And even as a kid, my dad told me when I was a kid, before I even saw Poltergeist, count when you see the lightning, count, and you'll learn if
Right,
it's
how
getting
far it's
further away
away. Yeah.
or getting closer, and that's true. Yeah,
All right, my number 3. I think we all watch this once a year, but for me, Alien, the original, 1979.
Yeah, great movie.
Oh my God, holds up still. The technology, the looks, the angles, the story, the pace,
The tension.
the tension. It is a gothic horror in space, and still it gets a watching every year.
yeah.
yes, Alien is another one like Poltergeist, which broke ground as in filmmaking, and also John Carpenter as well. Ridley Scott's Alien. We'll talk about the scenes that scared us the most. That movie has my scene in it. Upcoming, if we talk about the one scene that still scares us to this day, and mine's in that film. So yeah, Alien is.
I wonder
is
what
a
it would
great
be.
one. I don't know. It could be several.
When
There's two or
Ash was
three in
rolling
it.
up a magazine,
There's
I was like,
two or
that's
three
weird.
of them in it that really freaked me out to this day.
I will say there was a scene in that movie that as a kid I had to wrap my mind around. What am I watching? What just happened?
Yeah.
What am I watching?
Yes. That
Because
movie.
I couldn't. My brain was not keeping up with what my eyes were seeing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I can talk about that when we get to it. Well, number 3.
Ghostbusters.
Oh
You
yeah.
guys are matching up on some.
Yeah, we are. I mean, what can you say about Ghostbusters? I mean, you've already said that was on your list as well.
Right.
And, the acting, everything about that movie is just great.
The quotable lines, the
Oh,
comedy, the
yeah.
interaction, everything about that.
And
the
I
pacing.
can watch that movie knowing exactly what's coming next and still laugh out loud at it.
Yeah.
And
I can start at any point. If I'm flipping and I'm halfway through, I'm fine watching it from that point to the end.
Absolutely. And I think that the way that they deal with each other, the way they deal with the mayor, I love that scene where the mayor is basically coming to grips with what's going on in the city. And Bill Murray walks in and he's like, it's wrath of God kind of stuff. And he goes through that whole list, cats and dogs living together. And
Venkman doesn't buy it at the beginning. He's the skeptic out of
that's
all of
right.
them, and then he starts to gradually understand.
Yeah,
yes,
he's
these
just a
ghosts
clown.
are real.
Yeah, he's
They
a
are,
clown.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have that opening scene with him doing the cards with
Yeah.
those two supposed psychics, and he keeps zapping the guy, and he's
Right.
hitting on the girl. And so every scene of that movie is done well. It's a great movie. Sigourney Weaver is awesome. So what can you say? I mean, Ghostbusters is just a
Ivan
classic.
Reitman's son is directing
Yeah,
the sequel,
that's right.
so that's
The
great
sequel,
to know
yeah.
that they're involved with that. Yeah.
So
You will have saved the lives of millions of registered voters.
yeah,
How to win a politician's favor. Number 2 for me, it was last year's my favorite scary movie. To me, it's the all-time
I think
scariest
you
movie.
skipped my number 3.
Did we skip you?
Yeah, I think
No.
so.
oh,
which is kind of scary in itself. No,
I thought we went to you.
No,
for
my number 3 was my number 4 was Halloween.
Okay.
Number 3 for me is an older one that I grew up watching as a kid. It's one of the Hammer films called Dracula Has Risen from the Grave. That's one that I grew up watching with Christopher Lee, my favorite Dracula, and it made an impression on me as a kid. And I'll say this: most of my films are mostly Halloween monsterish type things. I didn't get really fancy with it because it's not a horror film list per se. But to watch the red blood in those films as a kid that I wasn't accustomed to seeing, I was used to seeing the old black and white films. But to see that red Technicolor blood in the early '60s, the way they did it, and Christopher Lee usually just hissing and growling and showing fangs and things, and it dripping from his mouth, that I'll always remember that. And it's the first one I saw from that production company, Hammer Films. And it's great. It scares me. I still get a little scared when I watch it now. Not more fun scared than anything else. But it scared me as a kid because it's one of those I crept back up in the middle of the night and watched.
Okay. My number 2, The Exorcist. Still to me one of the scariest movies of all time. It's going to be in our coming up scenes that stick with us no matter what, even as an adult.
From The Exorcist?
Mine's from The Exorcist.
Mrs. BK, her scene, I asked her, and her scene is from that too. To see if you guys
I wonder which one, because there's a whole lot you can quote in that movie.
Let's see if you match up.
But for me, that's one. It just feels like it's Halloween. Like I don't watch it any other. It's like 4th of July. Let's watch The Exorcist. No, that's not happening.
Right.
It's only this time of year that I watch it. BK, since I skipped you by mistake last time, you're number 2.
Groundbreaking movie that people were just floored by when it came out. By the way, my number 2 film to watch during Halloween is another classic Universal horror film that stuck with me, and to me, it's one of the best monsters they did. The awesome and misunderstood Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that movie was in 3D when it first came out, and it's kind of filmed that way, and you don't watch it in 3D now, with a lot of scenes of him walking right into the camera with his face. But that was if you look at that and examine that costume they wore for him back in the day, it's a fantastic looking creature because it's all in one piece. He looks like a creature out of the water with the fins and everything. And all he wants, he's misunderstood I even liked him as a kid, but it scared me when he would attack them and grab them. He just wanted the girl. That's all. That's all he wanted was her. That's all he wanted is them to leave and him to take her and marry her under the water. Whatever, I don't know what he wanted to do. But if you've never seen it or haven't seen it in a long time, the music score, he has a theme like Jaws. When he shows up like Jaws, his theme plays every time he's in there. And it is a fun, scary movie to watch. The Creature of the Black Lagoon. The first one is great.
Walt, you're number 2. Got to watch every year.
Beetlejuice.
Oh, you know what? I could have revised my list.
Yeah, that's a
I
great
haven't watched
one.
it in a while, though, but that's awesome.
I did watch it last year. I have not watched it yet this year, but it is a classic. And I think one of the reasons I started going back and watching it, because I had not watched it in a long, long time until maybe 3 or 4 years ago, is just I realized what caliber of acting they had in it. And so I was like, well, if you got all these great actors.
It certainly wasn't a big budget movie or a lot of special effects. A lot of it was all that stop frame animation, but that gave it its charm too.
It did. And the fact that it was
Michael
just
Keaton,
a good story. I know. I mean, you really can't beat Michael Keaton. And he is just a great actor, and he plays Beetlejuice perfectly. I don't think you could remake Beetlejuice right now with
which they probably will.
Actor. They probably will, and they will ruin it. Right. Because there's not anybody else who can play it like Keaton did.
Well, they remade Poltergeist and didn't do it very well.
Didn't do it well.
They did a horrible
Beetlejuice
job.
is 32 years old.
When you talk about how a poltergeist is a mischievous spirit causing lots of problems, I almost think, Tim Burton's view of a poltergeist is Beetlejuice.
It is.
Yeah, it would be.
He's a stinker up to no good. He's up to whatever makes him feel good and happy at the ruin of whoever. It doesn't matter. Yep. And I love that character.
But you're right. There's not a moment I watch Beetlejuice where I don't like him.
Right.
Even though he does do a few things, you're like, oh, why is he doing that? He's trying to marry her, and he's throwing her out against the worms in the sand and stuff. Right. But you like him. You got to like him. He's a scoundrel.
He's a scoundrel.
Yeah, and
none of scoundrels.
I like scoundrels.
You can't always justify it, but you can understand it.
All right, my number 1, and I watch this not just every Halloween time frame, every October, but I watch it probably 2-3 times a year. It is a movie that a lot of people put on their list for scares because it has its moments, it has its thrills, but to me it has an adventure element. Jaws.
Yeah, I almost put that on my list.
Gotta watch Jaws. I don't know if you would call it a Halloween movie. Some people put it on its list of scary movies because it scared them, thrilled them, made them have nightmares, made them afraid of things. But to me, it's one of the best made movies of all time.
You're right, and we've had this conversation before. How do you classify Jaws? Yes, everything you just said, it would meet
Horror,
the
thriller,
criteria.
action, fun movie.
If it's listed in the TV guide, when you say Jaws and you have the dash and because you see a movie, Peyton Place dash drama, Star Trek science fiction, Jaws. What do you put?
Right,
it's a drama, it's a thriller, it's a horror film per se. It's
a monster movie
adventure in it. Yeah.
It's got scares.
Yeah, it does.
It is not a comedy.
It's everything.
Not a comedy. Couple of funny scenes in it, but it's not a comedy. Yeah, you're right.
All right.
Good.
That's my number one. Got to watch it every year. And I watch it more than once a year. BK?
I stayed with classic monsters for number one. It's one of the creatures that we wish we could turn into. The 1941 version, The Wolfman with Lon Chaney Jr.
Yes.
It had groundbreaking makeup effects in it. It's very atmospheric to watch. I think it's is it Val Lewton that directs it? I can't remember the director, but it's got that. He's got a great cinematographer for the time. There's a lot of foggy scenes when he's walking through the woods, and the makeup effects and the fact that she's warning him. If you get bit by a werewolf, you're going to turn into the werewolf. And Bela Lugosi is in The Werewolf. Believe it or not, he is in it as a gypsy. He's not playing Dracula, so he's actually in that film. So it's part of that whole Universal group of movies. So if you've never visited or seen or watched the original Werewolf, check it out because it's a great Halloween October movie to watch.
Well, you're number one?
Young Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah. Got to have that.
Got to watch that every year. It's just my favorite.
We should do a podcast on Young Frankenstein.
We really should. Maybe we could break it down.
We could break it down 1 minute of that movie
more about that movie than I ever knew.
We'll go back in 30 seconds at a time. We'll really get in depth this time.
Yeah, well, we will not miss a thing. Yeah, I mean, you can't beat it. Gene Wilder. Just the whole cast is awesome. The jokes are great, and even some of them. I don't know how many times I've watched Young Frankenstein. Just to do the podcast, we probably watched it 20 times.
Oh, yeah.
Or if not more, in 1 minute segments. And I still love it. I watched it a couple weeks ago.
Keeper. It's a keeper.
Did you know there's a scene in Young Frankenstein that actually, when I saw it for the first time, it kind of it scared me? It's at the beginning where his coffin pops open and you see him.
And
I wasn't expecting that when I first saw it.
No.
And that scared me.
And there's the other scene too where the Frankenstein monster strangles the jailer.
Right.
That's an intense scene.
It is.
But to a kid, it's kind of
But I think my favorite scene of it is one that you and Commander Clark were guests on, and that is
the Wilder Ride. Yeah.
Yes, when we broke down the segment where he's about to animate the monster,
right,
and he's riding up on the thing, and he's giving this
that
humanistic speech of we are, tonight we conquer.
From forth we climb forth. When first man climbed forth from the primordial ooze. Yeah.
Yeah. And he goes through how we are now going to overcome all this stuff, death and disease and everything, and we're going to bring new life to dead flesh. And then like 5 minutes later, when the creature goes crazy and starts terrorizing the town, then he's crying out and he's saying, God, what have I done? And you realize he goes from playing God to realizing that he has created a monster, literally.
Right. And he knows who really is in charge at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's that.
And that wasn't funny.
That was not funny. That was intense.
Funny at all, yeah.
But there's plenty of humor in it. I mean,
there's enough to soften those nice real moments.
Right.
Every movie we picked, I think, was a good choice for that.
I think
these are all good, solid
lists.
We got to take a break here. Bottom of the hour. We come back. We're going to try to put 4 or 5 more segments together very, very quickly because we are rapidly running out of time. Now, we could go a 4th hour because technically we drop an hour back, but my wife would kill me. Welcome back. Now, anybody who's a fan of the movie already knows the movie that's playing this theme. How do you forget? This is how the movie opens. I joked earlier today on our early show when we do BK on the air. I'm like, when you hear this, you can't get any more foreboding. I mean, everything's going to go bad in this movie when you open with this theme. But that's the theme from The Shining, the Stanley Kubrick flick with Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicholson, not Jack Nicholas. Jack Nicholas is a golfer. Jack Nicholson. I looked at both of you and I'm waiting to see if you say anything. Like, okay, I better go ahead and call it now.
That is me saying whatever I was saying instead of costume earlier. That was the word I'm saying. I can't even remember. It's all right. We get off track. It's all right. We're human. We're only human.
Wait, who us?
All right. In the very first hour, we recollected some of our earliest costumes. When we tried to dress up, try to go to a party, or try to go trick-or-treating. But BK, you had a thought. If money were no object, if we could just have, the ultimate costume as of right now, sitting here in the studio, October 31st, 2020, what would you want to be able to dress up as to go to a party? You'd be able to you go like, oh my God, that's awesome.
As an adult today.
As an adult, like right now, what would you want to go as? Walt, had you thought about this at all? Do I need to give you some time?
So there are a lot of things that come to mind, but I think that if I had just unlimited ability or unlimited resources, if I could call in the studio experts and I could really do the suit right,
you can look just exactly like it.
I would love to do Edward Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
that's
just
pretty
because
good.
that would be a just crazy.
It's a very intricate costume.
very
to make.
intricate.
Yeah, it is.
And you could do cool stuff with plants.
That's true. And do people's hair.
And it would be an impressive thing,
It would be.
And in that movie, not my favorite movie. I probably have watched it twice in my life, but I think that would be a cool costume.
I think everybody would know who you are, probably.
I would imagine so.
You wouldn't be able to sign
You'd
any
be
autographs.
instantly recognizable.
Right. There would be
You'd be
like,
able to sign.
oh, you're Bobby Hammer-Nose.
You'd have to
it's close.
You'd have to stay away from any water beds or anything like that, too.
Yeah, I'd have to have plenty of help,
Let me help you in here.
Are you like recounting scenes in the movie now?
Yeah, I am.
But hors d'oeuvres would be easy, Maybe more egg rolls.
Finger food.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
exactly.
could come in handy, though, in Thanksgiving, carving the turkey.
Absolutely.
You would come in handy.
Well, hopefully I'd just wear it that once to the one bar. Like, I wouldn't want to do that the rest of my life.
No, you can never take this off.
No, you have to become the character. This is who you are for eternity.
My nose is just far too much to be Edward Scissorhands.
Now you're making me think of the film, and it was Vincent Price's last movie.
That's true.
His last appearance, and he was really great in it, too, by the way.
Yeah.
And another example of a director working with the legend that they loved,
Yeah.
finally, which was great because they really liked him. That's a great costume.
I'll give you props for that. That's a good one.
I love that.
BK, what about you? If you could have the ultimate costume, as of right now, it could change next year.
This is the question out of all the ones we had that I agonized over because I'm like, what? Oh, I love so many of these things. It looks perfect. I can have any one I want, what I want. So I still decided to go kind of horror Halloweenish with mine. I would love to walk into a party and look just like an alien from Alien.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one I want.
Oh,
with the jaw
the
coming out.
H.R.
and
Giger
everything.
design.
The H.R. Giger
Yes.
from the first
Oh
film.
my goodness!
I saw a guy build one out of foam once. And hard plastic and
Very
foam, and it
cool.
was really good at Kennesaw State College. He was there, and I would love to walk in with the
Especially practicing to
intimidating-
walk, so you could
Yeah.
almost like you're stalking as you walk
and
in
have
the room.
my retractable gross jaw come out with the dripping Vaseline off of it. It's coming back in.
That
I
would-
That's
love
a
that.
good one.
That's what I want to wear.
That would be very
I'll walk in with you as Edward Scissorhands. People run
Okay, I've
over.
got you guys. Those are awesome. 2 thumbs up for both of you because those are really good. Because I never would have thought that, and honestly, I don't know why I didn't think Alien.
It's horrific. They're horrific things just to think of.
To just your mind, would you expect like if it could look like the Hollywood level, like the monster
Yes.
itself? Could you imagine the looks you'd get in the room?
Well, imagine how many people would walk away from you or back up, knowing that it's a
kinda
costume.
freak out.
Yeah, it's very intimidating. those
Okay,
things
Alan,
are.
so do we get to guess what yours is?
Yeah, let's try to guess, Alan.
Okay.
Can we try that?
Sure.
His costume. Let me ask this: Is it kind of horror related,
Yes.
or is it just? Oh, it is
It
like
is.
a scary horror type thing.
Yes.
Okay.
I would think so.
That gives me. I have a thought.
The Hamburglar.
Rubble.
It's a good guess. That's a great.
Kind of
guess.
horrifying.
It's a
That
good guess.
would be.
Okay, so
IRS
yours is
agent. No.
because I was going to go
No.
with Indiana Jones, but since you say it's horror related,
Right.
I have a guess. So I'm going to go ahead and guess mine.
Okay.
For some reason, I think that you'd love to dress up like the It Clown
Ooh, that would be
from
good.
the newer film or either
that
one,
wasn't
doesn't
it, but
matter.
that would be
Like,
great.
that wasn't
If you could have a great the costumer that could actually paint it on you like that, and just
Then you
that
could
was
look
a
just
freaky.
like it is.
Oh my! That
With
was
the
a
teeth.
freaky looking.
We know of at least a few listeners that would be scared of
I'd
you.
go visit Eric.
That's what I'm saying. There's one of them right there.
Hello, Eric.
I might run away from you too. I don't have a problem.
I'm not.
Eric,
I'm not
open
a
the
clown
door.
person.
So
I
it's
got a
not-
balloon for you.
It's not.
You'll
it.
float.
It's not it. So what is your guess? It's a spooky one. Could be the Wolfman. He likes the Wolfman. I forgot about
the Wolfman would be a good guess. I was thinking something more along the lines of like the Fog, but I don't know how you do that.
Hi, I'm an airy bit of nothing. I talk too much.
The ship at the end with the red glowing eyes from the Fog. Yeah, from the ship.
No, you guys kind of hit on it. I would want to have like the ultimate werewolf costume. I'd want to look as close as you could, maybe to the Harry Potter style werewolf.
You sense where you were frightening one that's huge,
right? Like this
not
wolf,
Teen
like
Wolf,
Professor Lupin,
or even like sort of like how the transformation in Werewolves of London looked. Just sort of that,
or American Werewolf in London, or in The Howling, or something like that.
Something where just you look like a man wolf, not Lon Chaney.
One with the big ears and the teeth and stuff. Yeah, that's a great one.
I think that would be so.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
And to like do it in such a way where you could like be up on your hind legs, but then you would purposely walk down because you have like little prosthetics on the end, so you can do
walking
all four,
perfectly.
And then you hop back up and like and have the snarl and the snout, and that would be awesome.
Could you imagine us walking in as hey, here's the alien Edward Scissorhands and a big werewolf
and then
coming
put me
in.
on a leash. You're
Woo,
like,
yes, all right.
That would clear the room.
Fantastic.
Alan, sit.
This is an Arbor Day party. What's going on here?
Arbor Day. So okay, those are what we would go as of this year.
You're like, hey, I brought the scissors. He's like, well, I brought the flea powder. I'm like, and I brought the eggs. So
We're set,
ready to go. Yeah,
it's like a breakfast.
Funny. That's fantastic. I love
great.
that. 3 great ones. That's awesome.
Yeah, those are good. Those are good choices.
Now I'm scared. Just thinking about it. It'd be great.
All right, now we're gonna continue with the money's no object. Now you can go anywhere in the world to visit a Halloween or maybe a scare or horror related site. Maybe a place where something happened, maybe a place where a movie was filmed. If you could go anywhere to spend time visiting something that's related in some way to the horror or scare genre, where would you go?
And I was looking forward to this because I was wondering what you guys were going to come up with because I was really interested in hearing this part.
What's funny is you and I both told each other earlier today.
That's right, we did, and I forgot about that. Mine didn't change, by the way.
No,
It's
neither
still the
did
same
mine.
one. So let's since we know that, let's let Walt go first.
I would like to go to the castle of Vlad the Impaler.
Oh, you wouldn't be going alone.
No, you wouldn't.
And
because that's mine.
What I figured. I
chose.
knew one of you would come up with that. So then that is interesting that we didn't.
I will tell you, that would be a runner-up for me. Like, if I couldn't get to do what I wanted to do, I'd be like, guys, since you both are going anyway, can I come along?
That's the Ponari.
Can we do a remote?
That's the Ponari Castle in Romania.
Yes.
That's actually the name of it, and you have to walk up about 1,000 steps to get to it. Which we'd take a couple breaks.
Right.
Going up
I was
to
going
it.
to say we might take a couple of days.
Or,
Pack a lunch.
It would just be eerie.
Bring a beer
to visit there for a Halloween weekend. That would be fantastic.
That would be awesome.
Fascinating to do that.
And I think number 2 for me would be that house that Kyle talked about earlier.
Well,
up in Nashville, is that what he said?
Yeah,
Outside
either
of
the one in
Nashville?
Nashville or the one here in Atlanta that the lady was dealing with. So
you threw in a number 2. That's kind of cool. That's awesome. I only came up with one. I would like to. This isn't Halloween related, but it could be. The beginning of Spectre, James Bond. It's not even Halloween related, but I would love to visit a huge city, Mexico City Day of the Dead celebration.
Yeah,
that would
be
just
cool.
be fascinating to go check out.
Yeah,
but hey, we could go to Ireland or Scotland where Halloween began over there and check that out. That would be really cool too.
Absolutely.
But I know where Alan's is, so I know he's probably going to tell us where his Halloween vacation would love to go.
Do you remember what I told you earlier?
Yeah.
So thanks to our
cool. It's good.
Yeah, thanks to our good buddy J.W. Webb, the author, talking about spending some of his life in just outside of Cornwall and being able to visit the ancient Battle of Hastings, where this massive battle and supposedly the haunts and the spirits roam to this day. First of all, going to England would be cool.
Yeah,
Second, to be able to go to a historic location in not only referenced in Shakespeare plays, but in history, and to be there maybe one evening as that slow evening mist starts to form and see, do you hear the voices of the soldiers still in battle, the number who fought and died on the field of the Battle of Hastings? I think that would be just so super cool, because then you could just hop right over to the closest pub, tell everybody about it, tell them not to go to the moor and drink a beer.
There you go.
And to get attacked on the way out.
Hopefully
When
not.
you do walk through
Then I won't need the costume. I'll just turn into the werewolf.
You get your werewolf wish. That's a fascinating area to go to, because when I researched my family heritage, that's where my family is from in England, is the area of Plymouth, Cornwall, and that whole strip of the lower southwest part of England, southwest part of England is where a lot of my ancestors are from. So I would love to go over there just for that reason. That's a great place to go too. I second that.
And they say that at Gettysburg,
I hear the same thing. Like that's our
Civil
American
War.
version of like the Battle of Hastings. It's just so many people died at
Would
once.
be eerie.
Yep. And I've been to that battle site, but not at night. But when you read about it, when you hear about it in school, you don't realize how big that battlefield is and how many, the numbers of men who got killed in that battle. It is really...
You might could throw in too the Tower of London in London.
Tower of
another
London,
place you could go for Halloween.
Yep.
All right, before we get to our final segment, because I got one more thing we've got to get to before we wrap this up, we're going to go to the phone lines because somebody is up as we approach the witching hour. Good evening. You're on the air, WBHF. Who's this?
Hey, Alan, I'm up now.
Hey, Eric.
You heard your name.
Thank you so much.
Well, if I got turned into Pennywise, I would come say hi.
It's not funny.
Eric, you'd want to float. Everyone floats down here.
Night than I ever want to again.
Hey, Eric, if money were no object and you could go anywhere, we were just talking about, where would you go that might have a kind of a haunt or a historical significance related to Halloween?
Related to Halloween, Jamaica.
Jamaica?
And there's a reason for that.
The rum?
Voodoo.
Oh, good one. You know what? I didn't even think about that. There's some very good voodoo movies out there.
Something tell me he.
Not that I'm a voodoo worshiper, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, but you might have him make an Alan Sanders doll for you and bring it back, though, right? You might do that.
Oh, not Alan Sanders.
Okay.
Well, Eric, you are up late listening, but we appreciate it. Hopefully, we've been keeping you somewhat entertained this evening.
Oh, I was trying to sleep, but I don't think I'll ever sleep again.
We've done our job.
Just imagine me saying, "Eric, open the door."
I don't like you. When I get that sweet.
All right, buddy, we're gonna let you go. Keep listening. We've only got about 15 minutes left, and always good to hear from you, man.
All right, bye-bye.
Happy Halloween. Take care. All right, last thing. It's kind of related. See, we know clowns freak Eric out. This is actually a perfect segue to our last segment. For him, I don't even know what movie it would be,
Just
but I have a
pick
feeling
one.
if you had to pick a movie that just lives with him, it would have to be something clown related.
Sure, with him, it would be, yeah.
And so we've all had those movies where we've seen a scene, maybe because we were too young when we watched the movie, and it hung with us. We couldn't get it out of our heads. For like 2 weeks, we couldn't explain to our moms why we were so sleepy because we couldn't fall asleep because we were having nightmares, but we didn't want to admit we watched the movie behind her back. And then later as an adult, we're like, God, it still is a scary scene. And then even when you can rationalize it, you go, damn, that is still a scary scene.
Yes.
There's a scene that's not scary in Fast Times at Ridgemont High that I had in my head for a long time, but that's a whole different.
True.
That's
right. That
different.
would be scary for her parents.
Well, that's for a different episode.
Yes,
That'll be for our, I don't know.
Podcast.
That's a podcast.
It probably would have to be.
Yeah.
So let's pick, and we can go through a couple of them, but like as it pops in your head, is there a scene that just will always stick with you from a horror movie? Something that just still to this day, and I'll start it off this time. When I saw The Exorcist, for me, the one moment, there was a lot to be scared about. There was a lot that sticks. I mean, honestly, almost all of it sticks in your head. But the part that just made me almost cry for the girl as a kid, like I was like so scared and so concerned, was when they pulled the shirt up and you can see she's tracing "Help me" on the inside of her skin. And you realize part of her knows what's happening and she's trapped and she can't get out.
And she's sending the message.
And it just... I can never shake that feeling.
Yeah.
And that to me has always hung with me.
Very good one. Yeah.
Walt?
The scene from Jaws when
Ben Gardner's head.
When Ben Gardner's head falls in.
Hello. Hey, get away from my boat. What y'all looking at?
Well, wish their mothers had never met their fathers would get them down there and down there. Yeah, Ben Gardner.
Yep, but when that head falls
local.
in, I about jumped out of my skin.
Which I think Spielberg still has the head. Is that true? I think he still has that on his desk or something.
It doesn't hurt that they use a sudden loud trill of the flutes all at once, and then
I mean it was like perfect. And like you knew the shark was coming, right? You knew
something was coming. Yeah,
that's what it had to be. And then when that head falls down.
How weird is it that scene was added in later as an afterthought? They didn't think
That's
they had
crazy.
enough for this scene, and they needed to put
one
something
more
in there
scare.
and filmed it in a murky pool.
The woman who was the editor of the movie, they were like, "Hey, can we put this boat in your pool? We got to shoot a movie.
Put some milk in there to make it look like the ocean, kind of
Cloudy.
murky. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And it worked.
Yeah,
it
let's
worked.
ruin your pool.
It just ruined your pool
Hey,
in more ways than one.
She more than made up for it with the money she
Oh,
got because
yeah.
she got an Academy Award for the edit, I thought.
Yeah, and it was, and those are two great scenes you guys have come up with.
All right. We'll go around because there's probably a couple. But BK, what about you?
I only got one because I
Okay.
said one. I just wanted to leave it at one. Mine is from another movie where you could pick several from. And by the way, Mrs. BK's is from his Exorcist, but hers is the scene where, because I had her answer all of our questions. I'm like, here, why don't you answer these and tell me? She cannot get it out of her head when Reagan walks down the stairs upside down.
Okay,
that just totally freaks her out.
That's Exorcist 2000. They added that back.
but it's in the original version. I mean, it's in Exorcist, the old film. They
Right,
just
but
put
they
it
didn't
back in.
release it that
They
way.
put it back in.
They
Or
put it in. That's why it's
when
called
she
Exorcist
saw that,
2000.
When
Yeah.
she saw that.
The spider
that
walk
freaked her. And it's just a freaky thing to see.
no practical effect. I mean, the actress did it.
And it's kind of maybe there's a little sped up scene. They speed it up a little bit.
freaky.
It
Have
just
you
looks
seen it?
freaky,
Yes.
and that really messed her up. And
just like-
she saw that movie one night, and her mom told her not to watch it. She goes, "I've seen this. You do not need to watch it." She was 16,
Right?
And she's like, "Oh, no, I'm going to watch it."
I was 12.
She just
Yeah, I
couldn't
was
get it out of her
probably
head.
12 or 13.
I was
She couldn't get it out of her head.
12.
Well, okay, here it is, and see if you guys think it's creepy. Too.
I still poop my pants.
Mine is from Alien. I heard of a movie called Alien, and I'd never seen it in a theater. A friend of mine were like, "Oh, there's a movie called Alien coming on. You have this new thing called Showtime cable channel over at your house back in the early 80s. Let's watch it. We like Star Trek. We like Star Wars. Science fiction's fun. This is called Alien.
It's
Let's
a
watch
spaceship.
it. It'll be a spaceship movie."
Right.
So we watched it. Boy, were we wrong. It was still good, but it stuck with us.
Yeah.
When John Hurt at the dinner table has the alien bust out of his chest.
Oh,
The entire chest burster scene with John Hurt in Alien is the one with me that I could never, ever forget about. And to this day, I even know how they filmed it. I've seen the effect on how they do it, but I'm watching the film in the context of watching
And it is so
To this
realistic.
day, it's painful. It's a little painful to watch because you know what's happening.
right. The idea of
it's
something alive, but then
terrifying.
it's not like necessarily eating its way through you, but it
No.
might as well be.
Yeah.
In fact, eating its way through might be a little better. I don't know. Just
Right.
busting through and not coming out, not to hurt, not being nice to you. I need to come out in a nice way.
Right.
Now I'm
Yeah.
going to get out of you. You're just a vessel for me to live, and now I'm done with you, and I'm going to destroy you.
Now,
Come
do you
out.
know my runner-up comes from Alien? I mean, and that scene is obviously one of the
It's just-
iconic scene.
The actors, Sigourney Weaver, the actors didn't even like filming the scene. They freaked them out.
The scene in that movie, though, that left my brain unable to connect with what I was watching was when Ash was attacking Ripley, and they come in to try to rescue her.
Oh yeah,
And I still, as a kid, had no idea that he wasn't a human.
Yeah.
And when they hit him so hard with
Oh,
the
yeah.
fire extinguisher and his head pops off,
Yeah.
I was like,
First, you don't know what's going on.
first of all, okay, why is it white? But my mind didn't bother to check with it. Like,
Right.
had I said to myself, okay, well, that's not blood. I just was like, okay, his head's
it's
hanging off the back of his
freaky looking,
body,
and he's still moving.
and he's still talking, and he's still attacking, and like, what's going on? I could not, as a kid, wrap my mind. How is he still alive? What is all this stuff shooting out? Oh my! I was horrified. I was like, his head just came off.
And if you see the scene again soon, watch it and listen. Jerry Goldsmith hits such a weird music crescendo noise there when he does it that it just goes with it, and it just adds to the horror of that. It's just so horrific.
It's still to this day. Every time I see it, I'm like, how? I mean, I know how, but
Yeah.
it happens so seamless. How did they do that?
Right.
Right.
And they do it in such a way that you're just shocked. I was literally, when they say something shocking, that shocked me. I was just like, I didn't know how to react. My brain locked up, and I was like, I don't know what I'm watching, but I can't explain it to myself.
And my family has no idea. They know I love films, and they know I love and eat up and love watching documentaries on things of how things are made and special effects things.
Yeah.
And you go, Barry, you watch everything. You know how they make these. How can you still watch it and believe it's happening? I'm like, I can. I
Right.
can separate that and still be
That's how
immersed
good
in
the effects
film.
are.
Yeah, I can be immersed in that, knowing how they do it and still getting scared from it.
Well, you want to know the dumbest one that anybody's ever been? I don't know if I was scared, but kind of shocked by was the Tim Conway and Don Knotts movie, The Private Eyes. Have you ever seen that?
I think I know. Which
So-
one you're going to say?
The Wookalar is this like supposed fictional monster.
Right. What is that?
And you go through the whole movie, and Tim Conway's talking about the Wookalar, and they're like, "You're an idiot. What are you talking about?"
Right.
And so they're driving out of the thing at the end, and I should have known that, but I was like 10. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
You know, what do you know at 10? And I'm with my grandfather, my brother, my dad, and all of a sudden, boom, the Wookalar pops up right then, and I'm like, "Ugh." And it was like I just
scared
wasn't
you.
expecting the Wookalar, and
the Wookalar.
it just it didn't like freak me out, but I was like, "Dang, you blasted! Why was I like why?" It was, but it was more like the jump scare,
Right.
And but I was like, "This is a comedy. I'm supposed to be laughing about this."
Private Eyes. I haven't seen that in years, but I do remember it.
Such a great movie.
It's funny.
Well, and the whole the bit that they have in there where they're trying to communicate with their headquarters with the homing pigeons, and he keeps he'll write a note, put it on the thing, and then he keeps he'll throw it through the window, and it gets shot by a hunter.
Never makes it.
They never make it. They probably have like 5 bits of that.
That's a funny memory. I remember.
Great
I saw it in
movie.
the theater.
Oh, so
when
did
I was
I.
a kid.
Yeah, so did I.
It was really funny.
But that jump scare, I just look back at that and I was
All right,
like,
I've changed
I'm
my
wound a little
costume.
bit
I want to
too
be
tight.
the Wookalar.
Be the
When I go to a party now, that's what I want. That's my costume that I want to wear.
and we need to have a Private Eyes 2 and bring back the Wookalar.
Yeah. Not really, maybe. Never mind.
That's
Sorry, we just went off on the private.
Hey, they've made worse.
They have, yeah, they have.
So, but no, again, just a dumb thing, but it still got me.
You thought of it, and it scared you. So that's a great thing.
All right, do you have a runner-up now that you thought about it?
I
Any
have
other
a lot of
movies or
runners-up.
scenes
I don't
from
know.
any of these other movies that you go, oh yeah, that's right, that hung with me for a while.
Any of the ones that you guys thought up, to me, just the entire scene of Reagan in the bed in The Exorcist, because my mom told Stacy's mom said, "Don't watch this. If you do, you're going to regret it." What did Stacy do at 15? She watched it.
course.
Well, Stacy, my wife, is the kind of lady who watches a scary movie. If it's really bad, she has to watch 3 comedies to erase it out of her head. She actually has to cleanse herself with something funny. And she did. She regretted it when she saw it. And my mom came home from a friend of her and herself going to see The Exorcist when we were kids. And she told my sister and I, she goes, I said, "What'd you go see, Mom?" She goes, "I went and saw a movie, An Exorcist, called The Exorcist. That's all I'm going to say about it. And you are never going to watch it." It's exactly what she said. She looked at me and said, "You're never going to see that." So yeah, they're all the ones you guys listed would be easily still creep me out. The ones you guys said, especially Jaws. You know, the scene where Quint gets it at the end and the shark bites into him.
Yeah.
And it's just the mere action of Robert Shaw spitting the blood out of his mouth at the time. That was graphic for 75 when we watched it.
It's always
1975.
horrifying in any
'Cause you hear a
movie that
crunch
you're being
noise.
eaten and you're aware of it.
And you know, when he has the machete and he puts it on the ship, and it made the choice of Spielberg shows it sitting there in the ship. I'm like, why did he show that?
Right.
Well, he grabs it at the end. You can see him trying to stab it at the end. It's very hard to see him, but he is trying to do
Yeah,
it.
he is. He's got it wedged in the side of his jaw.
He's
And
trying to
Well,
hit
and I
him in
think
his
from
eye
then
or
on,
something.
I was like, if you die of a shark attack, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, and you don't want that to happen.
You do not.
It's not one of the ones that I want. But yeah, those are all scenes that, again, stuck with us as kids, but we still remember them now. We're like, we kind of watch them like this still. Oh, that's still.
Well, and there are a
kinda
couple
bad.
in Jaws. I mean, the one where Robert Shaw does the speech about the USS Indianapolis and the.
There's
and the
not a
crew
bit of
cabin.
violence in that, but the whole story is scary because you're imagining being one of the sailors
Yeah.
as he's telling
it's
the story.
so well told. I remember
Yeah.
the headline said the most harrowing moment in Jaws has no shark in it.
Yeah.
No,
and it's that
it is.
that
It's very
moment when he
true.
recalls the being in the water.
It's a scary.
It's a great
crazy.
monologue. Maybe one of the
Halloween.
best monologues ever filmed.
I couldn't argue with that. I think it is.
I do have. I don't want to call it like a runner-up, but I will tell you, it is the weird timing. Remember the original Amityville Horror? How the main guy kept seeing like faces in the fire. He just would
James
stare.
Brolin, yeah,
James
yeah.
Brolin would just be staring, and like there was this, like almost like there was an image, but you weren't sure was
Right.
that a face. My dad, because we had a house that we grew up in Michigan, had only 2 bedrooms, and when my brother came along unexpectedly, he had to fix the basement up for us to have some spare bedrooms. And the big thing in the 70s was paneling. So we had paneling on all the walls. You know how paneling has sort of like the simulated wood swirls and things. And I swear to God, after watching Amityville Horror, we would turn the light off. I'd turn my head against the wall, look at the paneling, and I could see faces in that paneling.
Oh, no.
And I had a hard time falling asleep because I was imagining that scene where he would see faces, and I was like, I can't look at the paneling. And then I would turn around like, but the faces are still there. So at least if I look at the paneling, I can keep an eye. So that way they can't come closer if I'm looking at it. Because in my head, as long as I see them, they can't come closer. But if I turn around, they'll sneak up on me. So, and I would sit there staring for hours just to make sure that they didn't see me. Because if you see me fall asleep, you're going to come get me. Of course, as a kid, that's how you think.
The glowing red eyes in the window in Amityville Horror when they see us, that kind of was scary too as a kid. That got me too. Yeah, that one's. I can see faces.
It was the timing of it because I mean the swirls and the wood panel look. Something about being in the dark and you could just make out the light and dark just enough, and all of a sudden your head, just like seeing things in the clouds, you suddenly saw patterns.
But you know what's funny? Is
we got 60 seconds.
When you look at something like Ghostbusters, they had all those same elements in it, but none of it freaks you out. You know, they
just in a different way.
It's just done in that different way. That's right, and it becomes the greatest comedy ever.
I'm a little scared to drive home right now, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna wrap this one up, guys. BK, thank you as always. This was a gem you brought forward 6 years ago. I'm so happy we're still doing it now.
Me too, and I look forward to the 7th annual next year. Let's do it.
Walt, thank you so much for spending time with us all the way.
Awesome.
Glad you got your power back.
Me too.
That's what causes us to be really scared as adults.
Yes.
Folks,
that
thank you. We're going to make this available on our podcasts in just a matter of days, but have a wonderful rest of your Halloween. Don't forget to set your clocks back. Would you like to see something strange? Come with us and you will see. This is